in various capacities here as a volunteer in the village of Mamaroneck, but also serves our state as well. And you can and the federal government as the and I'm going to get it wrong.
That's okay. That's okay,
As to
Ryan.
what your title is, and I'll let you introduce yourself. But a few of us had an introduction to you when we first got started and all this stuff. And if it really wasn't for you, I think this committee would have not moved forward. And so we're trying to continue the important work that we're doing. As you know, we have this new comprehensive plan that has been voted upon. It's now ratified, moving forward. We have some exciting things that we want to advance with Vision Zero, and that's part of the plan as well. And so this group is a group of volunteers that is trying to roll up our sleeves and get the important work done and making this a walkable, safe village, first and foremost for our kiddos that are going to school, and that's why Tina's here. And then also for everyone that is just trying to have a healthy quality of life in our village. So the floor is yours. Thanks for being here.
Ryan, appreciate it.
I don't think that's a do voter.
Okay, I just take open, need a motion in a second now.
Mhm.
Could I get a motion to second by open?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Fine. Let's go. Janet, your floor is yours.
Thank you again. Good evening, everybody. And I know some of the faces are on the table very well. Yeah, just really quick by way of introduction, what the heck is this lady doing here and why do we need the feds coming in our business? I lived in Mamaroneck for about 4.5 years. And duly accused. I served on the traffic commission because it was an exciting time and one where I felt like, I could bring my sort of day-to-day work expertise to bear for, helping the village. At the same time, there was a kind of a couple things going on across the nation that led to eventually New York City developing this model called Vision Zero that was borrowed very much from European nations. And what I thought might be helpful is just to give a very quick snapshot background on what the heck it is, right? And what it has to do with traffic safety. And hopefully inspire some imagination, for this group moving forward in how you can even further advance the sort of progressive movement to prioritize the movement of people who don't necessarily have the greatest needs, right? With the greatest access, and I'll explain more as I go. By day, I work for the US DOT with a little mode of the government called National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So we are, and NHTSA, exactly. I say NHTSA and most people are like, we're the folks who give you your 5-car safety rating on your cars, right? So we figure out kind of through very vigorous crash testing what vehicles are safest and which elements. We do actual crash testing ourselves. We have a couple of centers across the nation. My side of the house manages federal grant monies to the states. So Region 2, which is located in White Plains, has Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, Pennsylvania, and the US Virgin Islands. And why the federal government regionalizes like that, who knows, but it's great. I get to go to St. Croix every so often. And so
That's a good deal.
So what, I kind of had this wacky idea and, with the village management team and Mayor Murphy at the time, managed to sell them on this notion of why doesn't Mamaroneck think about this Vision Zero thing? So if you can advance the slide there. And I'll just, as I said, quick snapshot, run through the tenets of what the initiative entails. Kind of make the case for y'all, it's not just about safety, it's also very much about more equitable distribution of safety and access to all modes of transportation. I'll talk a little bit about the task force as I knew it a couple of years back, and so maybe it has evolved since then, so by all means, you can tell me we got that shit, and then again, hopefully inspire some imagination in terms of next steps that you think about taking. Okay. For it, Dan. Okay. So the tenets of Vision Zero. We see the A word as a dirty word. If you are if something happens to you accidentally, who's to blame? An act of God, right? It's an accident.
That's the insurance answer.
You know, toddlers have accidents because they're not yet really great with the bathroom. You might accidentally walk past a tree that gets struck by lightning and it falls on your head. But deaths and injuries on our roadways are not acts of God. They're caused by human error. They're caused by poor engineering. They're caused by faulty cars, right? They're caused by people making poor choices, either behind the wheel or otherwise. But we also know that they're incredibly preventable, right? And that we have many points of interruption where we can prevent these things from happening in the first place. So just one more thought on that. It's not just a matter of educating kind of those who are passionate about this. It's also your local media. It's the way that people talk about crashes, right? Crash violence and not accidents. I'll give you another quick example of that a few slides from now. Vision Zero prioritizes human life, health, and equity within all aspects of the transportation systems. Unfortunately, our nation is a very car-centric one. We've built a nation of roadways that prioritizes vehicle speed, vehicle convenience, never wanting to stop the car, never wanting to, right? Like we see a lot of traffic, and so what do? We add even more lanes. And unfortunately, what that does is it only exacerbates the problem. We have an enormous nation and lots of miles of roadway, so it's tough to think about like, gee, how can we build public transit that would span the entire United States? But the good news about a little village like Mamaroneck is that you don't need that much space for cars, right? It is very snug. It is very convenient to get around without using a car at all. But just like you should expect to put your glass under the tap and not die from the water, just like you should expect to buy chicken or kale or apples from the grocery store and not die from eating it, you should expect to be able to walk or roll or bike or drive on your roadway without dying. That's all. So next slide. We also know that they're incredibly fallible creatures, that we do dumb stuff, that we make mistakes, right? Human error is going to be inevitable. People are going to get behind the wheel after working a double. They're going to be drowsy. You know, substance abuse disorders are very real, and particularly in the face of post-pandemic world where we see extreme, you know, issues revolving around mental health, around substance abuse and things like that. And that translates everywhere in your life, whether it's, you know, dealing with your kids, driving your car, etc. But we do know that our transportation systems, and this is kind of those at the engineering level who are making all the roads, the cars, and everything like that, need to accommodate for that. And we should be building systems that are forgiving. Next slide. You know, what we have in the traffic safety business traditionally done is very enforcement heavy. So we see, oh, there's a problem with distracted driving. There's a problem with speeding. Give out tickets. Punish, 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 right? And you may have changed the individual driver's behavior for that hour or day or week, and they may have a crappy story to tell their family when they get home. But prevention is a different way of looking at traffic safety, right? If we can interrupt the systems that govern how that driver could get away with speeding in the first place, then we don't need to worry about influencing one by one behavior. And it's all about community education, changing policies. A wonderful example of that right here in Mamaroneck was when Mayor Murphy decided to change every local roadway speed limit to 25 miles per hour. Because he knew, you know, when you set the speed limit at 25, how fast do people drive?
35.
Perfect. When you set it at 30,
35, 40.
right? The human body has a 1 in 10 chance of surviving a 40-mile-per-hour crash. A 25-mile-per-hour crash, you have a 90% chance of survival. Now that changes, of course, if you're a child or an elderly person. But like just by reducing the speed limit, you know, that's a policy decision that has enormous impact or potential for impact, right? No pun intended. So safety work, thinking about these things on a systemic level. You know, it's not just about, is there a safe sidewalk in front of Mamaroneck Avenue School? It's, are there safe networks of sidewalks, no matter where the children are coming from, right? So it's, again, Vision Zero is very system level. And then I just mentioned it, one of the biggest factors that will determine whether a person is going to experience crash violence is vehicle speed. Again, you're blessed, you're in the village, nobody needs to go 55 miles per hour, you know, and a lot of it is just, this is just a matter of educating the residents who do drive as their primary mode of transportation. Expect to go slow. You know, and that's fine. When I drive down Mamaroneck Avenue here and between all the businesses and the restaurants and everything like that, I'm very comfortable with 12 or 15 miles per hour, right? Because you got bicycles and cars backing out of lots and you've got the lovely, you know, pop-up restaurants and stuff like that. Expect that and expect that as, you know, also you're making a decision to drive, you're going to mortgage that speed, right? And that convenience, and that's okay.
Shannon, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we taking into account in terms of how we are as humans in society, our lack of patience? Just from, you know, or having things so accessible to us that we don't even account for time and slowness and just taking time because we just, you know, we have everything at our disposal. So now everything is a now. We have been accustomed to a now. Our brains are actually that.
Yes, absolutely. And it really does, you know, for a Vision Zero kind of like effort to work, even in just one little village of 30,000 people, it requires years of that kind of community engagement and education to let them know that, like, listen, what's more important? That you make it to your next meeting on time or that you make it there safe? What's more important, that you know, manage to, I don't know, like, you know, pick up your meal when they said it was going to be ready, or that you don't slam into a little kid who's just trying to get home from school, right? So it really, yeah, it's absolutely valid point, Leilani, and I, you know.
One of the things I've said to you guys is, one of the things you need to do is turn driving from an unconscious activity into a conscious activity.
Yeah.
And that's why you mentioned driving down Mamaroneck Avenue, you have to be impacted with those things. Whereas like the old thought was have the 85-foot wide, road
Yeah.
in a subdivision. So everyone thinks they're safe, but that just makes people go fast.
Sure, absolutely.
Make it a conscious activity.
And you drive American Avenue with a vigilant attitude, you'll have no problem, because you
Yeah.
expect
Exactly,
the unexpected.
exactly.
A fool would go down fast, and again, when you do something, you can't undo it.
Mhm.
You cannot back it up,
Right.
especially a child or anybody else.
Excellent, sir. Moving on, those are just kind of the, you know, to give you an idea of the high level, you know, composition of what the Vision Zero initiative is comprised of. Now, this is old data, because I was only here, you know, I was here years ago, right? But like the police department helped by pulling out of their track system. And this is all crashes, not just fatal or serious injury, but like property damage crashes as well. Taking just a quick snapshot of.
Village end.
Nope, just village. So over the course of 3 years, on average, there's 1.5 crashes per day, right? And no big surprise, midsummer is, you know, the heaviest kind of, at least pre-pandemic, was when the heaviest incidents were happening. But also in November, and that's makes sense because that's when daylight hours were there. You know, we know that one of the most absolutely horrendous moments to be a pedestrian is October, November at dusk and dawn, right?
Halloween trick or treating.
So low light. Next slide. There weren't very many crashes that actually involved pedestrians from that total 1690. But then when you look at the incidence of injuries, once you look at, you know, what percentage of those injury crashes involve pedestrians, you see a staggering difference, right? So it's like you said, Dan, right? If you're driving anywhere from a 4,000 to 10,000 pound vehicle. Yes, if we're sharing the road and everybody has a responsibility to follow the rules, the onus is on the person who can cause death, right? A pedestrian, oh, they were on their phone, they were in the crosswalk, they weren't paying attention. Does that mean they deserve to die? Is the question, right?
So does some driver.
Right? right? So,
Not a child's responsibility, being hit
or
an
a
adult.
distracted adult, right? Or a mom carrying her baby in her laundry, like. So this is just kind of another kind of quick example. Pedestrians are gonna lose every single time, they're more than 8 times as likely to result in injury. Next slide. Nationally, and this is now we're moving into sort of into COVID and post-COVID numbers. We're also discovering, like so many things in our society, a staggering disparity in who you are demographically, right? So this is obviously national numbers, not Mamaroneck, but if you look at pedestrian deaths per 100,000 folks per capita, right, by race and ethnicity, you are 4.8 times more likely to die as a Native American in this country in a pedestrian crash than if you're white, if you're Asian. For Black and African Americans, 3 times more likely. Why? Because the way that communities were redlined, the way that communities were intentionally designed to limit access, to limit safe facilities. Folks who, for instance, Richmond, Virginia, where, the red line neighborhoods that are 99 to 95% Black and African American experience the most heat because there's no green canopy. The roadways were never engineered to have nice things that, collect rainfall and things like that. There are also, no sidewalks or broken pedestrian signals. So we're forced to stop and not just think about people's behavior, but the very way that we have designed our transportation systems themselves is incredibly unfair. And right now, at the federal level, there's very specific language in the bipartisan infrastructure law to prioritize programs and funding that go to these historically marginalized populations. That does translate down to Mamaroneck level though. In the summer of 2021, young Noe Cortez Duran was killed by a hit and run driver, 23-year-old kid that hit him, killed him, and fled. Because Noe was an undocumented laborer in the village, because not too many people were really even aware that this had happened. But again, think about your local media, and I know they're powerful partners, but really, really leverage them in the way that they can do the most good. This was a blip on the radar screen, right? Because he didn't own property, because he wasn't a voter, because he wasn't, somebody of any import. And because of that,
What was Noe's name?
Noe Cortez Duran. His family put up a GoFundMe. He was of Mexican descent, just to raise the money necessary to transport his body back to
I
Mexico.
live in Washington.
There you go.
I do know.
Okay.
And we've had a similar incident with a child being hit on Old White Plains Road that has had no fanfare.
Right.
So I understand.
And, I mean, it's literally the most, had it been gunfire, right? Or, some kind of a more criminal activity, but somehow we can kill someone with a car with almost nothing happening. I think the driver was fined $5,000. So at the time, a local nonprofit you may have heard of called One Mamaroneck, that I was also involved with, partnered with the Community Resource Center and held kind of an outdoor town hall style event, bilingual, called Families for Safe Streets. Not sure how far it's gotten since then, but again, it was this community education piece, right? That you deserve to live on safe streets and move on safe streets, whether you are, a full-fledged citizen or not.
There's also a memorial service to him at Florida.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Memorial service.
Oh, yeah, there was.
Vision Zero is also about access, safety, equity, access. access, what do we mean by that? When we think about access, we think, oh, people in wheelchairs, can they get around on Mamaroneck sidewalks? Can they move properly? And the answer right there is no. Unless there's been sweeping change in the last couple of years. A lot of the non-motorized transportation options are these ancient sort of broken flagstone, very charming to look at, but impossible to navigate unless you are, a runner. But access can also mean, again, this notion of, can I safely move anywhere I want to without a car? We did a walking safety assessment at the Mamaroneck Avenue School, just kind of all the local roadways of children that feed into the school. And, a walkable community is, designed, street smart design identifies it as a community where in less than half a mile, you can get to food, a bank, school, doctor. Almost everybody lives in Mamaroneck, lives in a walkable community, am I right?
Yeah.
And so we thought, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be so easy because parents that live in this very snug, cozy little school district, is clearly everybody's fun. We had wonderful participation from the principal who allowed us to survey the parents. We translated it, bilingual. And what we discovered was that 73% of the children who go to this school are driven there every day. Why? Was your choice of travel impacted by safety? And the majority said yes. They're concerned about their children being able to safely walk or bike to school, so they drive them. For any of you that have had any familiarity with what that whole mess looks like at the beginning and the end of the school day, it's double and triple parked SUVs circling the block, right? And who's walking to school? The kids in Washingtonville. The kids who don't necessarily have vehicular choices, right?
And
We have about three.
some kids from the Heights right now,
Right.
that's also come up in meetings in terms of
It's-
the kids crossing from the 95, depending on
95.
whichever side they live on, both sides, the entranceway. But yeah, and then on top of that, they added the food pantry there, which makes it even more of a horrendous situation. And that's just one school.
Right.
It's like a cycle of a self-fulfilling prophecy. People don't feel safe walking with their kids walking to school. So to put them in the car, which makes it unsafe for people to walk to school.
And
I think
then,
it,
no, and I was gonna also just add that, and then the school district over the years took away the bus system, which was,
Which was not a good.
which was a
that
horrible
was an
idea.
epic fail.
No,
I don't-
they didn't take away, but
They
they subcontracted out. so it was-
Subcontracted out, but it also
Bus drivers.
limited.
It's a mile and a half thing too.
They didn't change
Mile
who gets a
7.
bus.
I had to walk to the Hummus.
Oh, because it was.
Yeah. it's
Mile
But, we actually
7, I had to wait.
completed the first phase of the Mamaroneck Avenue School area improvements this summer. We replaced the sidewalks on, New and,
Ralph.
Ralph. We actually also may be getting a member item from, Bowman's office for additional, we applied for
Safety
it.
nose and sidewalks.
Well, we're doing that separately.
Right,
We're actually out to bid on that right now,
great.
to do the sidewalks, along the rest of, Ralph, Elliott, Underhill, and Hillside between, Mamaroneck Avenue and and the, Wilson Avenue Bridge.
That's great.
So we have about five more
I
minutes.
know,
to wrap
I
up,
know.
So we can,
I'm powering through here, Ryan.
Sorry.
Are we gonna get a copy of this?
Sure, happy to share. Yeah, this is, again, keep in mind, this is where I knew the task force a couple years back, so maybe things have progressed since then. There was a wonderful board resolution adopted to actually proceed with this initiative in the village. The mayor wanted to chair, which is great. Having that highest level permission and leadership is awesome. And Dan can attest, I think some of the early meetings were, chief of police would show up, sometimes the village engineer. There were broad invitations to these other kind of groups, but there wasn't kind of any regular attendance and involvement, right? But thinking about the facts that I've kind of, unveiled tonight, the important thing to really, really think about is who's missing, right? this traffic commission is awesome. You guys are a group of volunteers. You're not traffic safety specialists. You're not necessarily planners or engineers by trade. But that's okay, because you are experts in where you live. And if you think about those communities that are most vulnerable, whether it's built communities, Washingtonville, the Heights, or shared communities, the disabled, visually impaired, elderly, right? Who's missing from the table? Because their voice really matters. Next slide, I think it's the last
Shannon,
one.
what year was this?
That the Vision Zero Task Force was formed, I want to say 2018.
And
Yeah.
it just
Never,
dispersed and
but I've never, so I,
Oh, no,
I,
she was big on it when I got here.
And it's like, I remember this.
Oh, yes.
I'm one of the co-chairs.
I said de
of
Blasio, you
Safe
said
Routes
Vision
Schools,
Zero.
And I've been on, like, I new to being the chair, but I've been a part of Safe Routes to School since like before that, and I've never heard of it.
My not so secret hope is that you guys are gonna pester the hell out of Ryan after this. And be like, we want the Vision Zero Task Force alive and well.
That was also one of the reasons why I suggested that there would be a liaison from Safe Routes to Schools to the Traffic Safety Commission
Sure.
and vice versa. So there is a lot of synergy and things that you can work on together, or at least know what's going on.
So is this replacing the traffic committee and making it the Vision Zero Task Force?
No, it's a
Not
separate entity.
necessarily.
Separate.
Okay.
Or the traffic commission morphs into a Vision Zero Task Force,
I
you
wonder
know?
if Safe Routes can morph into
Yeah,
that,
because I
because
think-
when,
Well,
like my meetings, we already have state, county officials attending as well as village.
But the only, and like I just asked Tina. that- I was gonna say something. I'm so sorry. But I just asked Tina, what the representative we don't have is the Rhinebeck School District.
Mhm.
And that's the rep that we do need. And if you're talking about missing from the table,
Sure.
because Rhinebeck School District doesn't have like a safer
They don't
school
have
rep.
Right.
So that's something I would want to work with their school district to gain, because they just don't have that. Yeah, I mean, we can have parents, but if they have like a representative, it would be from the school specifically, would be awesome.
Absolutely. And then, think even more broadly than that about, who are the people that are at risk, right? Because you don't have to be an engineer to have expertise in how you move every day. All you gotta have is experience, right?
And Rhinebeck is a completely walkable district,
Right, right.
to that point.
Think of your day laborers, think of the CRC, think of folks who represent One Mamaroneck, think of, right, like all these other local nonprofits, local advocacy groups who represent the people who are really gonna matter in this, right? And there's a couple of just quick ideas for how to engage in a way that's not too lofty and complicated or anything like that. We traffic safety professionals are so good at walking into a room and making people feel dumb. We got all the solutions. We know how to do. No, we don't. Because obviously people are dying.
Right.
Data walks is just kind of a way to take, that very boring, compilation of crash data and all this stuff and make them more accessible, and then just passively have them around the room, invite folks to make notes.
So that's what we've been doing with Matt Carmody.
Perfect. He's
And we'll be able to, we'll get a copy of this?
Yep.
All right,
absolutely,
final thoughts before we move on?
yeah, no, there were a couple more, but don't worry about it.
I
You
have a
move
quick
on.
question. I have a quick question. On the village on the village website, there's a icon that says traffic task lists. When you click on it, there's nothing there. Do you know what was there before?
I think that was an attempt to do something like this from an
Okay.
old member of the traffic
Alright.
commission, so you can probably delete that. That was long stuff.
Yeah, we now have a very healthy
I see.
list. that,
Is this mine for the keeping?
Yes. Yeah, Bob.
Just so you know, that's like a third what we have. That's just for cover this meeting.
That's
Another-
right. That's right.
Another 30
That's what my
pages,
list-
another 30 pages of issues that we haven't dealt with.
It'd be a bridge version. I can send you over. One more slide and then.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick couple of other ideas about engagement with community members, because this is a big thing we're really haranguing our states about right now. You don't have to make built environmental changes right away. a really wonderful way to introduce concepts is by doing something called tactical urbanism, where you do pop-ups. And you guys are doing this on the avenue with the pop-up restaurants that have now become permanent because
Fixture.
people gave them permission. Yeah. Because people are scared of change, right? Bike lanes on Mamaroneck Avenue, that's crazy. But you know what? If you can do it with paint and you can do it in conjunction with an event, right? Bike to school day or, Maya's
Public
bicycle
education.
safety. Yep,
Public
absolutely.
education.
I was in Massachusetts one weekend and they had like this long strip, if it was like Mamaroneck Avenue, that was blocked off for like the whole summer.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that's from Mamaroneck Avenue,
I
But-
love
I think
it.
that's a good idea.
but it was like no cars could come through, so people were just walking, and it was like a good restaurant row for that community,
Sure.
but it was just blocked off.
No vehicle
And
pedestrian.
it just was what it was, and they said that they've been doing it for a few years, so that people just became,
And this is in Massachusetts. So-
yeah.
So Barcelona led this charge in the early 2000s
Yeah,
and
there you
became
go.
sort of the leaders
Yeah.
in this. And
So
now-
Barcelona, Spain.
yes,
Okay.
and now the US is inviting the leaders in Barcelona to say, how do we do it in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely
You can't
crazy.
move.
to think
I
about.
heard you can't move.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. man,
Well, yeah, Manhattan looked at Barcelona and that's when,
Yeah.
going all the way back to,
Commissioner Sadiq Khan.
yes, they closed the part of Times Square and they lost their mind. And I said, no,
They
we're
said that
putting
was
all
crazy, that
planters.
was crazy talk to do
Yeah,
that.
and after it was a very big success, it's still that way today.
So-
They do temporary ones too.
Yes.
Park Ave shuts down on Sundays.
Yes.
Oh, she was.
And that's what we would call parklets.
Parklets are, actually, this is really fun. Sorry, Ryan, 2 seconds, I promise. You buy up a couple parking spaces. You buy up, right? You pay in advance. Village, we're gonna buy these 3 parking
It's
spaces
dedicated.
for the next week. We're gonna pay you however much money you would make from cars plugging quarters in there all day. And you do a pop-up, whatever, music space where local musicians perform. Set up a couple benches, some planters, right? Maybe have an art display, or performances or things like that. Again, just bringing back this notion that streets are public spaces. They're not just for cars, right? So inclusivity with differently abled users. This is, again, people always think of wheelchairs when we talk about access. Differently abled spans the spectrum, folks who are on the autism spectrum, process information differently. How do they react and respond on things? Elderly people, very youthful people, whatever. I know it's gonna risk sounding preachy, but it just really is, when we stop and sitting on the traffic commission, I've listened for years to, but what about parking? Where am I gonna put my third vehicle, and all this stuff, right? But like, it's not that big of an issue if you start to make sea change in the community that, vehicle speed and convenience is not our priority. We want a livable
Safety.
community, an equitable one, a safe one, exactly.
On that note,
On that note, now I think I can shut up. I promise. I
Thank-
appreciate you,
thank
Ryan.
you,
I
thank you.
appreciate
No, I wish we could give you much more time, and I know your time is of great value. So on behalf of the entire community, thank you for continuing to reflect and share your ideas with all of us.
I'm not very good at it.
Are you gonna stick around or?
I actually have to pick up my dog by 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna have to get out of here.
That's heard that excuse before.
Yeah, I know, but
You know,
you know what?
I really-
I feel like
I really
it's
gotta
this
give
thing.
We will
talk
send,
about
but thank you so much. I mean,
I would
this
love
is.
to hang out with you guys again, if you're doing any kind of
Absolutely,
like walking
absolutely.
safety assessments or whatever. let me know.
We just did one for Rockland Avenue.
I know.
which was Semi-final.
I wish to use it, but I'll lend you.
We've got tap grant to incorporate a lot of Austin Avenue. And
We're doing some things, but we can do a lot more. Shannon Hughes, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
All right,
No worries.
Tina, we're gonna try to buy back some time here. All right, Tina, parking, you have a parking update, Mamaroneck High School.
Here, right?
Do we have attendees? I can't see, Brian.
Sorry.
attendees.
No.
Nope, I got.
There's like
I
one.
to do
Oh,
business.
that's two.
I already
this
told them I'm
person's
going
on
to
that
new
call.
business.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how long your meeting is.
I think it'll be another 30 minutes. But I'll move you to the top of old business. Is that fair? All right, parking, Mamaroneck, High School.
Okay, so the principal reached out, although I already knew because my daughter is a senior in grad school. The enrollment at the high school is higher than it's ever been. And because of that, they added more staff. So now you have more staff, more kids driving to school. So they changed the parking situation where the bigger parking lot where it's seniors used to park is now for the faculty only. And the seniors only have 40 parking spots in smaller parking lots.
How many seniors are there?
I want to say close to 500.
The thing is that over time, Mamaroneck High School didn't, account for the change of time where more people are allowing their kids to drive to school. And that's just anywhere. There's just,
Well, no, but it's more students. too.
there is more students,
like-
but
Like
that's like
last
a lot
year,
of.
there was maybe 2 years ago, there was like 400 and now we're close to 500. And not all of them drive.
No, I know that, but it's just an increase.
So is there a proposal then that?
So we came up with a couple of ideas. One is too complicated. I probably need to talk to you to see if the state will allow us to park on Boston Post Road in front of where Kemper Memorial is.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, don't we need permission? Because there's no
State
parking
road?
now. It's-
No, we can regulate parking on the state
Oh.
road.
They,
The only,
Oh,
yeah, the only thing you can't do,
Signs and lines, right?
well, the only thing you can't do with a memorial is get rid of it.
Oh, no.
no,
No.
no, we just want to park
Yeah,
in the road.
yeah.
On Boston Post Road, though, you
I
can,
would, I'll check. I'm not sure, but I'll check.
but
okay,
in New Rochelle,
yeah.
You're gonna get.
the school
No.
districts, the school district in New Rochelle, the district itself and City Hall actually does something to the extent of what residential parking is. For the employees in City Hall, from 7 to 4, those spots it's a public street, but those spots are
Dedicated.
Well, that,
indicated for
that was
employees
gonna be part of,
all around
Oh,
Clove Road.
Yeah.
And all around Clove Road, and when you come onto North Avenue,
Yes.
there's student parking there.
don't take over my time. 'cause
No,
we're
no,
gonna-
I know,
Yeah, yeah.
but so it's a feasible
So that,
situation.
but that was part
Yeah.
of what I was gonna, so. If we're able to add parking, we would like it to possibly be student only, and the high school gives out tags to put in their window.
So I don't know if we could, you need a special act of the New York legislature to permit on-street public parking. That would have to come from the village. I think they would put us in charge of managing the program.
Because it's a state road,
But no, because
anywhere,
because we would be responsible for administering the program. Because we'd have to be the one requesting the legislation. Because we'd have to be the one enforcing it.
Okay, that seems complicated. Is there?
Can
is
we
there,
talk,
an
like tomorrow.
option two?
So the other option was in the back of the school, on Woodbine Avenue and Fulton Road. I spoke to Andy to
Mhm.
see if it would be an issue with the fire department, because I thought that would be the biggest. Hindering.
Mhm.
What did you find it?
Okay, I spoke with Chief Barney on the phone, did a phone consultation at 4 o'clock after speaking with Tina this afternoon. He informed me when, you guys did the research in 2001, the school district, the Board of Education, and the fire department in the village all deemed it was a safety issue for no parking on Fulton between Carpenter and Woodbine. And Chief Barney reiterated this evening, I said, it is a staging area for the fire department, and during an alarm of fire, we have fire apparatus there because our water sources, our fire hydrants are located on Carpenter at Fulton, on Woodbine at Fulton. And then if we really gotta get water, we gotta go over to Abington Square and close Palmer Avenue and come up the wrong way. long story short, he said, remember, the hook and ladder has to make into Carpenter or right onto Fulton. And then a left where they, i.e. called the old shops, the old industrial arts. I know that word's a fancy word these days, but when you hook up behind the school, we need to get the ladder truck behind the school. The tail of that fire engine is 17 feet on a swing, the one with the bucket. So we need that swing. He said he stands firm on the no parking in that area now.
So
as it
no
is.
parking on.
And so the parking request, getting more parking is the most creative thing that we can think that the school, these young people that are facing climate change and all these other things in their life, the best thing they can come up with is we need more parking spots. I think maybe talking to Dan is the best thing to do because I don't have any patience for such a request. today.
Incentivize carpooling, like.
Yeah, I think
Give
it's
them $10, it's gonna
to-
be cheaper
totally,
than
like,
policing
if you're
across
taking
road.
3 people,
I think that a lot of people.
Oh, they'll give them
Well,
free
yeah.
parking spots,
Well, I mean,
bicycles.
Well, typically what we do is to discourage all day parking, we'll establish a 3-hour
Right.
or a 4-hour restriction. But, you know, I tend to always come back to the advice of the great British philosopher Mick Jagger. You can't always get what you want.
No, oh, no, I understand
but
that.
I think it's a legitimate concern, but I think that we should turn that back to, we have these wonderful STEM programs at Mamaroneck Avenue. I mean, these are collective action issues. These are common resource dilemmas. Let this generation start thinking through these things. Yeah. Okay,
Like
let's figure out a way
Ursuline,
to-
So just one
like
other
Ursuline
on
only allows.
Woodbine. I don't know when, Robert couldn't find it either. There are signs that say no parking during school hours on one side of the road. And we
Right side of
couldn't
the
find that anybody requested it.
We did discuss this though at some point. Did we?
What was
not?
it? This sounds
came up.
recent.
On Woodbine, I don't know, it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I can,
And it had something to do
I
with,
was gonna ask you if we could make that,
Stole off of Google.
instead
So-
of no parking during school
Yeah.
hours, student only parking during school
Yeah.
hours.
same thing, you need a special act in your state legislature.
okay,
Because
So-
you're permitting it for a specific class.
What if the school changed
Next on the
its gear
side
and
of
only
the
allowed
next
seniors to
avenues.
park? Then
that's how it was
It
at my
is,
school.
it is only.
So on, wait,
So,
what
and
you're
then
referring to, it's actually cut in off the roadway.
All right, so can we do a sidebar with Dan after the meeting? Okay, great. Thank you. So
Yep,
that's
You
great.
got it.
All right, Laura, you have some Old White Plains Road and Grand Street.
I
you're
do-
trying to
I
combine a
do
couple
have-
things.
I know I was trying to combine a couple of things, but I also see Old Plains Road and Grand Street 5-way stop, and I know Tim O'Connor is on the phone and Robert has this one. Do you
Oh,
want,
Yeah, do you want to combine those two things?
I think that, I mean, we can, but I think it's a lot of conversation.
Right, okay,
know?
so,
I mean, we can do that if you'd like to get Tim on and we can pull them in
yeah,
together,
let's get.
because there's
Tim.
some, it's
Is Tim
some,
on right now. That's the,
Allows them to talk.
hey, Tim, is that you?
This is from Tim.
Is that number 10? No.
What number is this?
Yeah, number one on,
Number 3 and
You see these are- yeah.
is,
one.
3 and what? What numbers are we
Number one.
on?
it would be new business 3 and old business 1.
Got it.
But Laura had some other.
So Tim is muted. I
I'm gonna try to text him.
All right, so Laura, you wanna,
Okay, yes, well, the purpose of the Old White Plains Road Grand Street conversation are a few
yes,
open items that have not been completed. But the largest concern I have right now is what we previously discussed, and that was the child that was hit on Old White Plains Road by a moving vehicle. And I have the police report here from the chief. And what disturbs me the most, I would have to say, after listening to Vision Zero, is according to the investigation and statements collected, the accident occurred due to pedestrian error. The child ran into the street.
I've never heard such a thing in my life,
That you never heard of a child running into the street?
of it not being the driver's fault.
Oh.
Failing to yield.
You know, I don't know probably what it says.
Well, I'm reading the response from the, I'm reading the response from the chief, but my largest concern is this. We live in a community, 20,000 plus people. Washingtonville is an area that needs to be revamped, restudied, reorganized, and realigned as far as parking, organization, decreasing the line of sight for vision and vehicles themselves.
Line of sight.
No, increased line of sight.
Yes.
That's what I meant to say,
Yeah.
but what disturbs me the most is that I've been bringing this up for months. And we're talking about children, and I'm not devaluing another person being hit in another part of this village. But exactly what Shannon is saying, this child in this accident didn't even make it to have a conversation. This area on Old White Plains Road,
That child died?
no,
I
It's
thought
I
that
guess
she
the
was-
first time it's coming to the.
That's what I thought you was going, saying.
no, it's not.
Okay.
It's been conversed, but it's not not a matter of that. It's a matter of, we need Matt Carmody there we did a study in 2016. We have increased traffic, increased speed. We're going to have the Waverly Avenue Bridge closing. And we need to protect the residents and the pedestrians, and we need to start to do something in this area that's going to make it friendly for pedestrians and vehicles to cohabitate safely. It is not safe there. So this whole corridor is an accident waiting to happen. Slowly but surely, we've been peeling back layers.
Mhm.
It's wonderful how we put the parking tolls. That's working fabulously. But we're lacking in the follow through. And I know we've had this conversation on numerous occasions. There's one parking spot in front of Page Park that hasn't been removed for a year and a half, and it's been through resolution twice.
Yeah.
There is a parking spot that's dating back to October of last year on New Street across the street from the church, St. Vito's. That has gone to resolution twice and never come to filtration. We have stop signs that needs to be replaced and placed back in between a church and a school. And that has been overlooked.
So
We have a
On
whole
New
corridor.
Street,
Yes,
can you give me a list of
Not on.
the stuff that's been
So-
approved that has not been done yet?
So the thing, this is
let's hear a
where
good
I,
one.
I'm
Yeah,
just-
go
I don't
ahead.
want to interrupt.
No,
So this is where I see is like a hiccup between, going from the traffic committee to the board passing the resolution to it getting to DPW, whoever it needs to be. For some reason, that the order after it leaves the board, it just doesn't make it to DPW
So,
for some reason.
well, usually what happens, the day after the board meeting, I will write up, I wait, once you get the certified resolution, I send that along with the work order to Public Works.
Okay,
So, I mean,
so, and
but if there's something specific that has not been done yet, just let me know and I'll follow up.
so this is something, and this is what was while you were out and you were out sick. I had a discussion with Jerry and that when you do, and I'll email it again, just so that this is the discussion we had. But when you email DPW, CC, I guess the administrator's assistants over there too, because it
I-
seems,
Yeah, what I do is I send it to, not everyone knows it. I send it to James, who's the DPW foreman. And I also copy Karen and Lisa. who are
Okay. okay,
the, Administrators, the secretaries. of the
So
office.
for example, last night, you guys approved
The
the Florence
lights,
Park
oh,
handicap
yes,
spot,
yes.
Yeah,
so that was sent.
no, not yet, because and EOC meeting today, I had to go to the optometrist.
No.
But also, I also,
So normally you.
Oh,
then
so I
send-
did discuss that with Gino yesterday.
Okay.
Because we're gonna need to do a ramp as well. That's
All
going
right,
to require an engineering.
we're digressing,
So-
and I hate
so
to
can I just-
interrupt,
yeah,
because
but
I
let's
just
go
wanted
back to Laura real quick.
yeah, I just want to continue to finish this. My concern is that we're not focusing on this area and making it safe. We've already had an accident and we're going to have others if we don't get Carmody down there to study what Mr. O'Connor has broached to the board on several occasions, the 5-point stop on Old White Plains Road, which is a very dangerous area. It's all one corridor leading out to Mamaroneck Avenue School. And it's going to become an even greater cut through, as we know, when the Waverly Avenue Bridge closes.
I don't know if that's gonna be the case. I mean,
Oh, all right.
Well, no, I
See,
mean-
this is, let me just finish my thought
okay,
process.
let me respond.
No, and you can, but
Okay,
my thought process is this, we are already a cut through, the bridge is gonna close down. people are gonna be coming down off of Highview Street, they're gonna be coming off of Mamaroneck Avenue, they're gonna be looking for routes to get to the spot, the place that they have now been cut off from. My concern is this
Yeah,
child
so-
was hit because the vehicle was moving at a rate of speed that hurt the child, and he couldn't stop when the child ran out. And now we have an issue. And I'd like to find a way to get Matt Carmody there to help remedy this whole situation, because instead of piecemealing it, we have a whole corridor that needs attention.
Okay, so, as far as Waverly Avenue Bridge closing. It's only carrying traffic from the industrial area that has approximately 16 residential homes. So I don't know that the school traffic is gonna be, what are you shaking your head?
No.
at?
I don't get that. I take that often.
Well,
No,
I take
No,
that.
but she's talking about Mamaroneck Avenue School traffic.
No, but Dan, there's a lot of houses off Fenimore that go to Mamaroneck Avenue School too.
So I think.
And they're coming in reverse and they're going back.
And
to
and they'll go to Hoyt.
But the ones that live on Fenimore, I almost would go up and around.
Can I
to,
say,
like,
can I say this?
But
too?
it's still not a matter, it's an issue that needs to be remedied. It's not, it's, the Waverly Avenue Bridge is a layered additive, but it's an issue that hasn't been addressed.
This is an inflection point for you,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you've been seeing the
So-
thing that there's a task force in Washingtonville, right? And people in Washingtonville have enumerated issues that have
So-
gone unanswered for a period of time. Is there a motion for Matt Carmody to do some type of walk study in that area?
Well, can we specifically enumerate the issues that you want?
I think we have them. I mean, Tim has a.
No, I don't want to just say, Matt,
No, because
do
this is
just look at the area.
not just the one area, this is not just the one problem. And
Okay.
I personally who go up, I don't go up it as much anymore in terms of Old White Plains Road, but when I even come down off the Hudge, there's a lot of people who use that area. It's not like it's
I'm
unknown.
not disputing.
So then
That's from
if
Tim O'Connor.
if we can, because
I
Matt
don't think
just,
I've ever
Matt has done Union, Matt
Yeah,
has done Rockland, Matt can sit there and do this area. Can he not?
Well, was anything done with the old study that he did, or did he?
Well,
not
that
do
was done by.
That was in 2016.
That was
Yeah,
not-
And there were things that we did.
We have to move on.
Can I add one thing? So I think the missing link here, especially looking at Tim's email about the truck traffic issues there is, of course, there's laws that are being broken. every day.
Yeah,
And if
that too.
it ends, I'm sorry, our Lieutenant Buckland's here, but there are things that police can do that would discourage the bad truck behavior. Parking
Correct.
signs aren't gonna do that.
Mr. O'Connor is muted, he said, he's trying to speak.
Yeah,
We
He's
can't
unable
unmute.
to.
So I don't-
He has
I
to
don't-
unmute.
He has to unmute
In
himself.
my 6 months or so on this
Yeah,
commission,
ask him.
I don't think we've unlocked the police enforcement badge.
All right,
I,
Mr. O'Connor, I think you can hear us. We've introduced all your emails. We passed those on to Dan. Dan has those. I think that there has been a lot of discussion around this and, you know, your tenacity will hopefully pay off here. But I think Laura brings up, right now is the moment, a child was hit. You know, if we're not gonna act now, what are we waiting for sort of thing? And we know this area is problematic. That five-way stop is just a nightmare. We've talked about it before, Dan. I mean, it's just a very problematic spot. It is one of the quagmires in our village. I know it's not our road necessarily, right? It's part of its county, right?
No,
It's all ours?
That's our intersection.
So if it's all
Well,
ours,
I mean,
let's get
The only thing we don't, and we'll never say is just the overpass.
We need to move on if there's not a motion to be considered. We're gonna.
I mean,
No.
I can talk back.
That's it.
If
We have
it's
his-
a
we have his-
matter
we have
of
his
doing a
email.
walkability assessment,
What is he gonna be more, is he?
Sorry,
more,
one at a time. Dan, what did you say?
is it a matter of just doing similar walkability assessment?
yes,
And-
but I would encompass the whole entire area because when you went over to Union, you did all of Union and you did that section, which was helpful to an extent.
No, I-
You know?
But by-
What area did you stop at when you did the Mamaroneck Avenue School one?
It was large.
I didn't attend that one, but it's basically, I think, everything between, Gertrude, down to, New Street.
Because like, could we do that whole corridor, but continue to like?
Well, that's why one of those,
Wait,
well,
Ask
that's why I'm trying to ask.
Gertrude to Hoyt,
All right.
I would do Gertrude to
not,
Hoyt.
Not Gertrude, he already,
Hold on.
maybe.
I'm trying to find out
New
what
Street
exactly
to
the
Hoyt.
scope is.
Like,
Okay,
like,
we're moving on,
okay.
we're moving on to item 4.
No,
We're
Ryan.
well past our.
hold on.
Final thought?
Hold on, Ryan. What Dan will do, he will ask Matt what it could be. We will ask for the opinions of the traffic committee in terms of additional areas, but we want to wait for Matt. Is that
Well, no,
appropriate?
I need to know what I'm asking of him.
We're asking for a walk study.
I know, but,
Right, but
what's
from,
the-
I'm saying from New Street, I feel like it's a good.
well, I'm trying, is that, I just want to make sure that's the scope that
Or is there
we're
more
talking
that you
about.
think?
I don't, what was the, if nothing was accomplished as far as between Gertrude and Hoyt, I would include that whole area.
No, but he did Gertrude.
But if you did Gertrude already, then we could go right from St. Vito's or from the French American School.
Part of the
Are
work
we
you're
talking-
doing now included Gertrude, that was the walk study was
But,
done.
Matt,
Are we
I
talking,
mean,
can I have a separate conversation? Because I don't
that's
wanna,
fine.
yeah, I don't wanna, this is getting a little,
That's
A little
fine.
messy. All
And
right.
if we could,
And
if
the
we
reason why
get
it's
it
messy,
sooner than later.
and it's not because the only reason why it's messy is because that area. It's really tough
I
to.
mean,
So let's, so we have, moving on to number 4, 490 disabled parking requests. Here, Blau.
Can I just?
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah,
there's a
well,
piece
we've done
that,
it before.
About Eglat?
Yeah.
This is different.
Okay,
He lives in a co-op.
Yeah.
He's looking for parking. I live in, I'm on the. On Crutchfield, ask for a place to park. There's a fair. Here's your. can I-
no, I
There's
mean,
a
I
fair
agree with
housing
you.
law that provides for people with disability are entitled to a reasonable accommodation. He should go to his co-op and ask for a place to park in their parking lot, not on the street.
Well, I mean, that's,
Because on the street, there's
well,
no.
I kind of said, I prefer to have something come from the board.
Oh,
And,
in terms of.
yeah, the
recommendation
490
or-
sleeper board.
and honestly, the thing
Oh,
that,
we write to the co-op board?
well, I would say he should, if you should, I mean, the other thing is, not to be indelicate, but when we've done this in the past, we often don't know when the spot is no longer needed because the person who
May
is
no
using it,
longer be around.
they are, they have passed, they
Yeah,
have,
passed away.
they have moved on.
Figure that out.
So Rob, so Rob, can you just, is there a way that you can reach out to Mr. Elam
Sure.
and tell him what your experience has been?
All right.
Yeah.
And then say that, you know, are the board's recommendations that he has talked to his board. Is that fair?
This is different from because this is another situation.
Yeah.
The woman who lives on, North Barry, across from Sedona, who requested a handicap space that is still not, that's still problematic, because even if they provide a handicap space on North Barry, she's not guaranteed to get it.
No, you're never guaranteed that
No.
someone
But
else.
that handicap space that we recommended months ago is still not, I don't know where they can put it, because, you know, there's no parking, well, the area where Sedona is, and I don't know where they can.
And
put it.
installing a handicap space is not a designated handicap space for one person, whereas this space would be a designated handicap
Yeah,
space for one
No,
person.
no,
You can't do that.
That's the
it
solution.
would not be designated for one person.
Inside the, inside.
That's right, property, yes.
Yeah.
Folks, we are passing this under the co-op board.
Yes.
End of
Why
story,
would
let's
they
move
even
on.
come here
All
if
right,
it's on private
Rockland
property?
Avenue
shouldn't have.
pedestrian incident. I know that Lilani has,
What am I doing?
Lilani has a bit of a, you had reached out to Mandy about the Rockland Avenue
Number
update,
5.
right? Number 5?
Where's Rockland?
That was the walk study that Mandy was doing.
And where the child was hit by a
Thank
car.
you, thank you.
It wasn't
And
a-
Dan has
the
a bit of
car
updates
accident,
on
it wasn't-
Dan,
This
please,
pedestrian
go ahead.
Okay, so, I reviewed there's one more change I need to have made in the report, because there's a technical error. But we got the final draft. The recommendations are to add pedestrian warning signage along the corridor. Add the RFFBs, you know, the pedestrian signals we put by Fenimore and Palmer, or Fenimore Prospect, they're actually have the lights on it.
The flashing one?
Yeah, put those at intersections with higher vehicular volume. Add accessible sidewalks along the corridor, add crosswalks at intersections.
Question, is there any reason the crosswalks couldn't be put in now? Because this other work is gonna take some time. Right? We want the crosswalks.
Yeah, I'll confirm. Then, in the short term, if we can't get it, if we're not getting the sidewalk done in the short term. There's the option of a pedestrian lane. The problem with that is, like on Old Post Road, the pedestrian lane has to be a certain width to allow for two-way pedestrian traffic. I think that's 5 feet. So I don't know if you can have an actual 5-foot pedestrian lane and 2 lanes of traffic next to it. So that presents a little bit of an issue in the short term, but I asked Matt to follow up on that specific recommendation. Maintain,
This is on video.
yeah, maintain roadside plantings, clear sight lines, and remove rock in the roadway and repaint fade and stop bars. So I'll follow up on the crosswalks and the stop bars.
That's some really good progress. That's exciting. So
Yeah.
do you think we'll have that report for maybe next week or?
Yeah, I mean, I have it now, except
Do some edits.
there's one edit that it's about the way there's a way.
What's a reasonable timeline?
I'm fine distributing it to you guys now.
Oh, yeah, all right, so we can get that, we need
But
that
it's-
later in the week.
Yeah, the one change is in this section.
Okay. Thanks.
Can,
That's
but
wonderful
can we
progress.
get the crosswalks painted at Harmon and Waverly and Rockland?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Gino because we're so one of the items is Royal and Old Post. And
That was on your agenda.
yeah. And I spoke with traffic engineers, no problem with it. But when we have our vendor who's gonna do paving on Orienta and the Parkway, line paying is part of his contract, so I'll have him do that as well when he comes here.
Yeah, if we can be efficient. with
Yeah, that should be another
that'd wonderful.
wonderful stuff.
So moving on to number 6, four-way reds at all village lights. This was Mr. Spadaro. Mr. Spadaro had brought this up. And so Dan, can you just briefly read your statement there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very bad idea for certain intersections, especially Mamaroneck Avenue.
Slows everything down.
Yeah, I mean, right now, those signals are timed. And even during the morning and morning and afternoon peak periods, you're at a standstill. If you added even more time with an all-way pedestrian phase, it's gonna make it worse. It's gonna have a cascading effect on those intersections and on the side streets. I
Well,
don't
where are
think,
some places that we could potentially do it? I mean,
well, the only other, I'm trying to think, the only other signals that we own are Halsted and Northbury, which that signal needs to be replaced because it's so antiquated. I think we already have an all-way stop at the Ward Avenue, Halsted intersect traffic light.
Is Palmer and Rockland also?
Yeah.
Was up.
Yeah, we have, I think we have about half a dozen traffic lights.
what's the road when you're walking up Mount Pleasant? What's the road to the right of Mount Pleasant?
Prospect.
Walking.
Oh, Maple and Prospect.
Yeah, do we own that?
Yeah, well, we own the traffic light.
Can we get that?
I mean,
I know that's kind of a funky light there.
Yeah, because that also, it's a 2 lights that
So,
work in
I
concert with
mean,
each other.
that
as
is,
well.
that is considered a safety solution in many respects, right?
Yeah.
To do the four-way stop. I know you were working on doing that. You put in the paperwork for the Boston Post Road Fenimore crossing
Mhm.
with the state. I think that's a good way, but I think, I mean,
Well,
so-
it's an all-way, it would be an all-way.
all way, yeah, all way, yeah, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
that's
four-way,
why
but all
We
way.
know, the traffic engineers never use the term four-way.
So an all-way stop, we could look at those on that specific situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd wanna, determine, I mean, it's a benefit for pedestrians. So I think you'd wanna ensure there's enough pedestrian activity.
I think that's what we're trying to benefit here,
Yeah.
the pedestrians.
Well, no, I think you wanna make sure that there's enough pedestrian activity.
They would only turn red if there was a pedestrian, you have to push the button.
So
Right?
well, not necessarily, it just, they're designed in different ways, sometimes the button. There's
But it's a good idea that Mr. Spadaro, is that right?
Spadaro.
Spadaro.
So
Uh,
all the traffic lights on PPR and
Those are the same.
Palmer
Well,
and
the-
Merrimack.
Anything on Boston Post Road is owned by New York State.
Yeah.
That they are responsible for those traffic lights.
Yeah, I'm just a little shocked that we only control a very small number of traffic lights. That makes sense.
Well, we own the traffic, we own most of the traffic lights on Mamaroneck Avenue.
Mhm.
The county owns the traffic light at,
New
Street,
New Street.
New Street and the CVS.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, a couple others.
So, moving on to Warren Elementary, Miss, Jano,
Megano,
We call it Daniel Warren in French.
Daniel Warren.
We don't ever call it Warren.
Daniel Warren, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like Warren Avenue. Perfect.
So is she on?
The only one I see is Bernie. Does that say Bernie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Bernie, on committee?
Well, I know a Bernie, I don't know if it's that.
It is Bernie.
That's Bernie.
Okay.
Okay, so not with this one, does anyone?
Is there a write-up? Is there?
Yeah, look on page 5. You're talking about Daniel Warren?
Yeah.
Yes, so she has a host of recommendations. It's the school in the street. She has.
So can we just pass?
Well, if it's, is it deal with Route 120, I don't have it, it goes,
Yeah, it's on your.
It's on Harris.
It's right here. You
oh,
have one of these?
Let me show you.
I had one.
no, no, I have.
Look on page 5. She has all of her recommendations for what should go there.
Because I mean, again, that, the road in front of Daniel Warren is state road.
Yes,
Harrison.
127.
Yeah.
Yeah, state road.
So
But
that's,
it's part Harrison and part Keeler that she's.
well, Harrison and Keeler, that's entirely state.
Mhm.
Keeler,
Yeah, the portion of Harrison Avenue between Keeler and Boston Post Road, that's the village. But anything else on Harrison Avenue and Keeler Avenue, that's all part of Route 127.
so you can look at what she read. Also on Stony Brook, she has some issues.
Where is it?
Page 5, top of the page.
So can we pass these along to you, Dan, to take a look at?
So let's see, as street name signs, okay, that's, we go with that. An all-way stop at Harrison Keeler, that's, the state. At Harrison Avenue. Wide pedestrian sidewalk. I mean, that would, you know, that would require a, well, we require, we could do that, but we need a street opening permit from the state. Plus, I don't know, that's also, if it's on school property, it's the school's responsibility. With the parking lane, yeah, yeah, a lot of this is state stuff.
Is there a yes to any of it?
So was
Can
that,
we get any of it done?
it's the first time seeing this, so let me digest it, I'll follow up.
Let me ask Tina a quick question. How would we get a safe routes to schools for Rhinebeck? Who would we start with the board?
PTA.
The PTA, I
It-
don't know. You know, what, I'm not sure.
It's been they've had like some attempts at it. So back in I think like the 1990s.
One of the judges.
Yeah, Judge Gallagher, tried forming, he's one of our judges, tried forming a safe routes to school committee. About maybe 7 or 8 years ago, it was kind of another attempt. And we tried we worked with them to apply for a grant to put a sidewalk on South Berry Avenue. But that, you know, did get approved. And just never really followed up. There's never been a lot of it really is, it's a grassroots effort among the
Right.
parents.
So the person that really did a lot is the one that stepped away now. And the RIY, I think, helped.
Yeah,
Because the RIY comes to it. Too.
Yeah.
I can try to,
Okay, I'll follow up with you.
or if you have a person, like they can come. Like, we had somebody from Scarsdale come to our last meeting because they were trying to start it in Scarsdale.
My wife is up for this.
Know a lot of parents that didn't want to be interested.
Yeah, but I said,
You guys get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your school.
Yeah, I said,
Well, you got,
Right.
you got,
No, but I said-
We got,
you got
we got a
volunteers right here.
two-person committee
no, but I
right
said,
now.
I have found
I
that
tell you, they show up to
it
every
really
meeting.
requires a grassroots efforts with the parents,
Yeah.
PTA and school.
Right,
It's,
All right,
it would be nice if we could just add it to us, but I think it'd be too complicated.
Yeah.
maybe seriously, you can exchange some
Yeah.
emails
Yeah,
because
I know
this, yeah.
yeah, I know there's like a rise.
These are really active families, and you guys are the ones that show up to all this stuff, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes. Me too. So, yeah, so, Parker, this will take just a split second, I think. Brian Williams, the former chair of the commission, almost got into a crash, and he's asking that there be some trimming done. Robert?
All right, this is on page 14, Park Avenue in Hunter. He recommends a slew of recommendations. Mr. Barney from the DPW said that he would investigate the location, so let's leave it with him.
Yeah,
And let him figure out what can be done.
yeah, it might be in between DPW and or building department. Property maintenance issue.
Yeah, best. So then moving on to St. Vito Church paving, Miss Jester. And Dan, I don't do much with that, the private
One of the streets
pavers.
you pay.
Yeah, well, we're doing the, so, yeah, so as a general matter, I don't know if you want to, I don't think you should be getting into street paving. We are looking to pave because we're doing the sidewalks in those areas. We're trying to get that done.
So that should not be a traffic issue.
I said it should be
Well,
the
roads to be
village manager.
paved because, what we're looking to do next year is get a, we call a pavement management survey. Basically, an engineer will come in, look at every single road in the village, give it a score and develop a long-term capital plan for us to, have a paving schedule. But, because, you want to make sure that when it comes to paving, make sure that it's done in an objective, apolitical manner.
How do we?
But these roads are flood prone roads and have been battered, so how are they being looked at differently?
There would be, well, they could be,
Not yet equitably,
Well-
because they're not equitable, right?
no, I would-
Like I would
Wait,
like,
can you let me answer the
No.
question first? Every road we looked at, if a road's being battered, it's gonna show signs of being damaged. It's gonna show signs of wear and tear, and will be higher on a list of roads to be paved. So, there would be no, it would likely be higher on the list if it was significantly damaged. So,
All right, so what should we tell St. Vito's?
oh no, I mean, we're looking to pave those roads by the end of this year.
So can,
But you should
We
also
get a-
tell them that's not a traffic issue.
right,
who can one of us?
Was
respond to-
there a letter? I'll respond to it. Say that we're
She sent an
looking,
email.
Yeah, what I'll do, I will follow up with that and copy you and just
Yeah.
say that this is not a traffic commission, but.
Yeah, I mean, really-
Dan Sharnoff has an update for you and then you can. respond.
yeah, I mean,
Kind of over to you, Dan.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Moving on, if we can sort of combine, so 10 was, it really shouldn't say Ryan Buck there. I just wanted to give some background on this pedestrian safety, stop signs, walkability crossing. This was really, from Tom Murphy, and an email that came out that was, I think, based on a lot of things, right? What's Abby's last name?
Roberts.
Abby Roberts sent a lot of emails over. I think it goes back to the ratification, I think that's not the right term, but the ratification of the comp plan. And I think that's,
Stop signs,
Tom's really starting to, be back there, and think about like what we're doing with all these things. And he kind of put a challenge to the traffic commission. He's like, all right, we're wanting to hear some innovative ideas from you. And so I think some of those innovative ideas are about process which I think this is a good time for you to kind of reflect on a couple of things that you were talking about on the process piece. And then Leilani and I discussed this piece on how the kind of the workflow and how we calendar things out with Carmody and that type of thing. So if we can like maybe spend 5 minutes just kind of discussing that a little bit, some of your ideas you put forward. And I know Leilani wanted to also talk about the calendar piece of Carmody. How he can maybe attend some things.
Yeah, why don't we, so I'm gonna go first because you told me to.
Yes, sir.
So my process now was just about making sure that people who write to traffic get some response in a reasonable amount of time. I think there's a fair amount of emails to traffic that just never get answered, or it takes weeks or a personal visit or whatever. And we've talked about this before, and I think, Ryan, I think you basically said, well, you know, I think you were saying like, I try to respond to everything, but I'm not saying you don't, but you don't.
That's true.
And you shouldn't, but
I don't respond to everything. I try to.
yes,
And sometimes I don't know what to
I-
respond to because it's just like, to use this kind of crass term, it's above my pay grade. Like I don't even know what to say, you
Yeah.
know, and it would be problematic if I said something because it.
right. And you know, hopefully someday people will always go to the website and put their complaint into a form, but that's not gonna happen for years until we re-educate everybody. And then we can just make them not drive cars. Sorry, I'm trying to be funny. It's not
Yeah, I
working.
know, that's good. Huh?
So my mod's proposal is that like either like on a 2-week basis or a month basis, one of us takes responsibility of making sure everyone gets we've received your note. And either we forward it to DPW if they're talking about shrubs, or we'll bring this up in new business. Just we have to respond to our residents.
That's agreed, and we've discussed this on numerous occasions. And I had put on my away message, pointing them to the form and generically letting them know that we
Nobody's
received their
using it.
email,
Nobody's using it.
you know?
Yeah.
Because we're not,
Nobody's
nobody's using the form because we're not educating them to use the form. We're just expecting them to find it and use it.
So I think there's a couple things here. One, I like does everyone agree that we all could kind of rotate kind of a response? Is that a bad idea?
I'd rather just
Automated.
assign, you know, as we're going, we do this, you do this. I think to have one person do it, that's too much.
I think everybody equally should check their emails each day, give 5 minutes and forward your email. It should be in roto. We shouldn't wait for somebody to go in and check. Go and check your email. If you see
We also,
something,
yeah,
if you see something wasn't responded to, move
right,
to
but
it.
I don't think we even see whether it's responded to or not. Sometimes,
I think we need to have assigned commissioners respond to particular, and that you can at this meeting or whenever. Assign
I
people
don't
to
understand,
respond.
like, what do you mean by it's not like divide the alphabet, divide the days of the week? How do we divide the incoming emails so we know which
No,
ones to
you know,
respond
so
to?
there's 5 of us. I don't know if you want,
I don't know.
you know, okay. And so in the course of the meeting, maybe each of us has to choose 2 assignments to contact somebody. I don't do it right.
Right.
Rather than.
That's great for follow-up. That's not
That's what
responding
the
to
inter-
people's requests.
So
Well, on the request side, you also gotta look at the liability of those would have to be.
well, and
CC'd on
that's
the
been
request.
my concern is.
My thing was, I'm just speaking out, is just say that the village has to see how you folks answer, so they don't get into a catch-22. But
Right, and
you mean
nothing
well,
just,
like me, I mean well, but I can't sink in.
right, and the thing is, when something comes to, you know, I've not responded to things that are, you know, multifaceted,
Mhm.
like some that are, you know, like Tim O'Connor's, I have no idea how to respond to Tim O'Connor.
So-
I really don't. I can bring it to the meeting and I can say, Tim is added to new business, but that's about it.
So,
And with the particular one that we were talking about too, that was very involved, a lot of different facets. I think somebody from the village really should have weighed in on that because it was about a very, very specific initiative on Halsted that the village was doing. And so, the village missed that one.
Was the village
CC'd on it?
Yeah. And so it's like
You're
one of
talking
those
about my
things,
wife, you're talking about my wife's email also.
right, yeah, and so I was sort of,
Was it about the attack rate? The project?
It was, yeah, basically, looking at HVA's,
Yeah, so, and, okay, I can. Everything is being collected, we're responding, there's gonna be one master response to everything,
mhm.
so.
Is HVA responding?
It'll be, they'll put a draft together, I'll comment on it.
you have an
So-
auto response set up on yours?
I have an auto response set up.
Should we all set up auto responses at least let people know?
What
that-
do you mean?
I have an auto response set up on my personal email because
Sure, but I think, can we set one up for a board of
But
traffic?
if it goes
It's
to board of
generic.
traffic.
Right,
then
has
it's
to go
not
to the board of-
Sending your.
Or the
That's a-
actual response.
That's a
because
quick,
I
that's a
emailed
quick case
That's-
question.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
reply all
Um,
rather.
it's on
Melanie,
there, yes.
Do you think, would you support an idea like where we had an auto reply from the Board of Traffic email where it says, and one of the elected officials, I think, I forget who, had a very similar response, like,
It's Shelley
received-
Meyer has it.
Shelley has one. Right?
Catherine Parker has it.
We received your email,
Yeah.
we got a lot of emails, we'll follow up with it, for more immediate, fill out this form.
And that's what my auto
I think it-
response directs you to the link to the form. And it says, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But if it's on the Board of Traffic, it could state to the fact, should you require immediate assistance? You could dial the village manager, the police, the
Here's-
fire,
here's-
whatever you
Well, I'm
need.
gonna also offer, I have 20 years of traffic safety, I'm sitting on my computer. I've probably seen most of the issues come across my desk and stuff, yeah, so I mean, if there's something that you want me to, kind of have you take a look at for inspiration, please let me know, because
Yeah.
I may have it.
I think the automated response is great, by adding, take a look at the email and whatever, if Dan wants to look at it and just say, but if there is something like immediate, obviously, emergency response, people, but if, I will, oh, Jesus, right, it was right at the tip of my tongue to add, I think that if you are having trouble with the app, the link in terms of the form, please reach out to us again. Because they may have some trouble, but other than that, I'm fine with you having the automated response.
And we could
I
put
don't know if
something
we
on
can-
there that says to move your inquiry through in a quick and efficient manner.
But
Please ensure to continue to fill out the form so we can move this to the department that could best serve you.
And I don't know that a real auto response is gonna work because we'll all get it as we email each other and it's gonna be an email nightmare.
But at least we're not,
Share all-
it might affect us, but who we're serving is the population. And we're, instead of us ghosting them, there's some sort of response that they're receiving that email and they're not filling it.
Let's have a,
Set up that in auto response, it says, auto respond to everybody within your company or outside your
okay, I'm gonna
company.
leave it to your email skills. I'll propose like a template language. I'll bring it in next month.
Bring in the language, and then there is a way to do it where you. So, and maybe we'll copy you guys.
A couple calls.
Well, did you want to say anything about, Mr. Carmody,
Yeah.
attendance?
So I know you guys have been asking for Mr. Carmody, it's something I had a discussion I had with Jerry. For Mr. Carmody to come and on a more frequent basis. And what we have come up with, that he can come quarterly. But you guys have to, if it's not dealing with county, state, or walk study, there's no reason for him really to come. Please be very specific with your ask for when he does come. So, but he can come, he can meet us in this meeting, in this space. To talk about whatever things that you guys need to want to push forward.
So
Or talk
Dan,
about.
Dan can tell us what's appropriate to talk with.
Yeah, and just one thing, so, Matt doesn't live in Mamaroneck now, but he actually did live in the village at one point in the past, so he has some familiarity with, the physical state of.
I hope he didn't
things.
leave because of street safety or traffic.
I think it's because he
All
had a
right,
good
so,
job and got married and had a family.
Life happens.
All right, so what I'm gonna go a little bit out of order because we have our friends from Union Ave here. And I know that, I don't know if Rolani, if you had a little bit of update in Dan, but I did want to provide some space for you guys. So if you guys can take maybe a minute or two
Yeah.
just to give us an update and
Yeah,
then.
so, it's funny because most of the residents who are doing
Can I,
the,
I'm sorry, have your name, please?
yeah, Craig Langus.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, yes.
Nice to see.
Yes, me. I don't know how I've become the representative for all of Union Ave.
Just have us.
Yes, they all have their, I'm gonna be there, what time is the meeting, and then Lal and I are the only ones to show up. with all-
What's your name?
Paula, that's it.
How?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I responded to you.
But you guys have been great on responding. I think.
That's why I'm here.
I think what's going on is, on one of the last emails that came out in an effort to sort of get more specific with a representative from the blog. The bullet points of what Matt, I can't remember Matt's last name. Carmody, that email went to me. I don't think the residents have directly seen that. I don't really understand how all of this works, and I don't want to start forwarding emails that maybe aren't supposed to be seen by all. So I just think it might be great if I can quickly just hit the questions about what is planned, because we understand what's on the bullet points is planned to be done after the Con Ed work. I'm not, the trucks that are on our street working this week are unlabeled, so I'm assuming it's Con Ed that's out there doing work.
By
this week.
Hinman.
Was
By
that?
Hinman.
Yeah, by Hinman. And that's the area that we were waiting on to have the work done in order to have the final sort of pieces.
Just as a general rule, any email that comes from the village to you is published.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
great. I'm
Good,
sorry.
good point to clarify.
Yeah,
Right, so I'll send that off to the resident group and include everyone who's getting on these emails. So there's a couple of theories. One is the residents are wondering why it is that some of the things like the Tompkins end, that's gonna be restructured. Can't, because, that's the end I live on. Of course, there's an investment there, but it's a very, very dangerous corner. The crosswalk was relayed just as it was. And it's, there was a traffic accident there, last week. Because someone turned the corner without a stop or anything, and smashed into the back of a car that was waiting for a car to pull out of the driveway. Then at the other end, some teenager went out of control, did a 360 and ended up in someone's lawn because they were speeding down the street. And
Big accident.
Big accident, and
You
that's
sent
exactly,
pictures, right?
yeah,
one
that
of
wasn't
our
me,
neighbors
that was
just
another
did it.
neighbor.
Yeah.
But that's exactly where,
I mean, it's-
literally,
you
my
see those
dog goes to the
pictures?
bathroom
Yeah.
every morning that I, clean up with my kids that I walk with, and I'm not trying to, carry them, but I'm just wondering why one begets the next, first off. And number two, if we can just very quickly, the lists, there are some things that are suggestions and then some things that are being done. If I could just know exactly what is being done
And when they're gonna be done.
and when it's going to be done, then you don't have to see us anymore. I think it's just Con Ed didn't come, and I don't know, can the paving be done before the winter comes? What's the real timeline? Where we're gonna say, okay, this is, all going to be done.
Yeah, the timeline is a frustrating thing, and we see this with everything just as residents. I mean, we've been waiting for the bridge to start, and even all municipalities have to like wait on the next level up, right?
Yeah.
So you don't always know when, I mean, we knew that the Waverly Avenue Bridge was gonna start between, September and sometime in October, right? That was
Starting in June.
well, no, we thought.
And so I mean, that's the reality of these things, but I'm not the expert. That's just been my opinion of just based on observation.
Right.
But Dan,
Yeah, I mean, Con Ed is, it's crazy dealing with them. It's so, there's so many different people who seem to be responsible for one individual thing. And they have their sphere of influence, and that's it. As far as paving, if the work needs to be done personally. And I just don't know that, we're getting later in the year already. One of the things, we're having the same issue on Hillside Avenue between Mamaroneck Avenue and, the bridge. You know, we actually wanted to get that done last year. And this is gonna be the crazy thing, you know, we're gonna have repaved, when everything's said and done, Hillside Avenue between Mamaroneck Avenue and Jefferson Avenue.
Twice.
3 different contractors. 3 different paving contractors.
Well,
Because
We're
the
gonna try to,
trailer-
avoid- we're gonna try to,
the trailer
avoid,
goes into
obviously,
these.
there.
Question, like, why does one begin the other, right? Like, why can we not get a crosswalk until comment, right? Does that-
Well, I mean,
It's all the way
it's
to the other
sometimes,
end of the street.
well, I mean, sometimes it's also a matter, if it's not an issue of it being repaved, because we just repaved.
Most, yeah,
Yeah,
right, like everything else. that
Yeah.
we did.
It just seems like there's like this
I-
thing, let's wait for this,
I'll follow, I mean, it might just be, I'm trying to get these other points.
right?
But let me follow up. You can answer.
Yeah, so, and just so we're clear, and Leilani, I mean, you could probably speak to this too, is it's our understanding that there's going to be a stop sign put in at Anita. So if you're coming from, Halsted, there'd be a stop sign in Anita. And then there'd be a stop sign at Hinman, if you're coming from Tompkins.
And Ward.
And I think Ward is not, if there's going to be one at Ward, great, but I didn't.
If that's the bullet, if you,
The bullet says like the board, at the board's discretion kind of thing for some of these points, so.
everything that was listed is going, it should be done. That was the directive.
Right.
So everything that was listed in terms of the recommendations, that is what was, that's the directive.
Yeah, it's just that I brought 1 or 2 of those stop signs up and someone said, no, there will not be a stop sign.
Who said, who's
here."
that?
Is it Jerry or,
Stop sign where?
at Ward, like, our.
Actually,
Hinman and.
according to Lonnie, you said there was no stop sign.
18.
Yeah, you did.
I said it?
Yeah, I can't remember who
Page
it was
18,
who
bottom of
responded.
page
I'm so
18.
sorry, this is taking it would just be great if,
You want to clear?
yeah, just an update and.
Well, and I
And
think you're also feeling a little, like the guy in the middle, because you're sitting on information.
Right.
I don't want to mischaracterize, but you're sitting on a lot of information that you would like to share with everybody else. But
Yeah.
then you yourself have questions about the information you're sitting on.
Correct, and I also I don't want to be the
Well,
mayor of the information.
Well, you
It's
have,
like-
yeah, exactly, because then people are gonna come to you and be like, well, what the heck's this about, Craig? And
Right,
you're gonna say, I don't.
To get
Then you're gonna feel like me.
And to get more
And-
specific, so the email you got, what would help you is like going line by line and understanding
yeah, I mean, I
what
did it.
what is actually happening, what might happen, and what
Yes.
the timeline.
Yeah, I highlighted what they are, but I don't want to waste all of your time. I'm happy to post the email to you guys and just say question,
So
answer.
I-
somebody
you
goes
have
through
Dan,
resolution.
Dan on there,
Am I
because, you know,
understanding?
Dan is, I'm sorry.
Yes, but there seems to be a miscommunication about something, so that's why it's coming back.
Okay.
And that's fine, because I look it up. Robert, you said that the stop, what it's written in the notes, it says a stop sign at Ward and Tompkins.
No.
Hinman and
You sent
Ward.
an
No, I
email.
know, but I'm asking you to read the
It
note.
says 9-1, still waiting
You
for
have it?
installation of.
No,
stop
that's
sign
why I'm
and
asking you to read it.
traffic
What page is it? I'll read it so everyone knows.
Dan,
what
who's
page.
the best person is, are you gonna do this, or are you gonna hand it to Matt Carmody?
Well,
Because there's a lot of different.
yeah,
people and
well, I mean,
things
I
involved.
think I have to see what the specific responses are.
Okay,
I mean, if it's something like, because I'm looking at this.
Well, it says 9-1, still waiting for installation of stop sign and traffic calming measure recommended at the corner of Tompkins.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
and-
so I'll
That's
just,
different than the other
just-
stop signs.
That's
Yeah,
what-
our
that's-
understanding
That's it.
is stop sign at Anita, stop sign at Hinman, rumble strips all throughout that area on the street. And then at the other end, a reconstruction to bump out the crosswalk and that sidewalk there on Tompkins. Relay the crosswalk, lay a crosswalk across Tompkins as well, from Union to Tompkins. And then a 4-way stop sign in that area. I think that's everyone's.
and that's all in the.
Am I wrong, but are the hedges at the corner of Tompkins an issue? Because that creates a visibility issue when cars are coming down Tompkins and making the right turn. You can't see pedestrians and you can't see oncoming cars. I think that was the cause of one of the accidents
Yeah.
where the car, all right?
Yeah, I think that that's an issue.
So
but
I
think
don't know why the hedges haven't been trimmed.
Right, well, I think,
So the
Stop sign, just
Yeah, I think that the bump out and the
Oh,
stop
that-
sign would prevent it, and I would just ask
No.
that if it is just
That's
like sort of a miss. Getting the work done at one time is great, but if there's a way to start working, you know, on the Tompkins end and start working incrementally.
Well, and this is what Dan's gonna check on, but just so you know, I mean, these are the notes just that we have on you guys. Okay?
And
I mean,
that's
and
not
this
even
is-
all of it.
This is 10% of the entire agenda. that we-
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the level of import that we're giving it. And because it has a timeline that's out of our control, and it's a lot of different pieces, but you're doing the right
But there
thing.
are some things that are within our control.
Well, Lonnie,
I'll follow up.
I want to give you the last word on.
I don't
this.
want to have a last word at the end of the day. The last word will be whatever Dan sits there and figure it out, and then I'll follow up on it.
Yeah,
Is that
actually, it says-
okay?
It says
Alright.
from what's intended and been shared with. It says, and it says the signs.
Yes, the sign.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Tompkins and Tompkins and Union, and that's at the end, right? And you're saying there's no
Yeah.
stop sign right there, right? But that's not even a part of the Con Ed side, is it?
No, it's the
No,
other side.
so that means that stop sign should have been there. If it's finished. That's what I'm like trying to figure out.
Yeah, because if,
Yeah, I mean,
this crosswalk was laid back in the same spot, so, I mean,
And there's signs
that's
that-
more money.
So there's,
You guys wipe it away.
Somebody didn't. know.
yeah, I might have a meeting. What's today, Wednesday?
And it's been important that Dan's here. this
Thursday,
week. Dan is
Friday.
here for-
I'll be
Yes,
back.
we're very grateful that you're here.
Yeah, thank you
This
guys
is
for everything.
huge.
We don't mean to take up your time, we just really would like clarity and
Yeah,
to start doing what we can do.
yeah.
But you can share all the information
I need to figure out what
and then,
happened.
decipher it. Yes, the shadows of the cave.
That's, what you know, I know that there is this thing, things just go around and around.
But it, at least, like, there is a lot of movement.
Did you hear it?
and, I know I can be
Kind of.
terse with my email.
You're funny.
So I tripped you.
And I'm like.
That's a good thing. Like, we feel
Take a
good
ride.
about that.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Okay.
the village is being
Yeah, I
responsive.
could've done it.
We're listening, you guys are showing up. I think
Just
everyone's
bridge
doing
there,
their
sorry.
part. That closing the loop that we're talking about and making.
Yeah,
I
this
forget.
Actionable.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part, but we're working with so many different entities. I mean, we're also trying to figure out how to do a better job. So thanks for bearing with us. I hope you learned something from Shannon and Vision Zero. But this is gonna be a big thing that we're gonna push as a village, and I'm sure you guys will be champions of this because Vision Zero is a federal project that is bringing resources to our communities that will make our streets safer, moving traffic deaths down to zero. It integrates very well with safe routes to school. We just need to do it as parents. We can all sit back and wait for others to do it, and it's not gonna happen. So what you guys are doing, hats off to you. Thanks for spending the time on this.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
stay in touch. Okay, Boston Post Road crossing at Fenimore and Delancey.
I like to talk about this.
Yeah, I think I know what's going on, but Dan's notes are a little bit different than what we have. Ron-
It's a state, it's state right away, so.
This is the problem.
So
Yeah.
that, oh,
Can I, I'm sorry.
go.
I just want to say, this is the problem. So the DPW today put in the no turn on red signs
Mhm.
Okay,
on Boston Post Road.
Oh, fine.
I don't think that solves the problem. The problem is people walking across Boston Post Road and cars coming down Fenimore and making the left. What we
Mhm.
needed and what we asked for was signage on Fenimore, alerting drivers coming down Fenimore to be alert about pedestrians crossing Boston Post Road.
Well, I also.
So what would that
asked for one
sign
on
look
Boston
like?
Post Road.
Like, are you
Sorry?
saying, so I'm visualizing what what you were just saying in terms of you would like a sign on Fenimore
Yes,
saying,
if you're making a
Well-
left turn, be careful about pedestrians.
So
to
you're
the
like
right.
a symbol like the ones we have in the
Well-
street on Mamaroneck Avenue, correct?
well, no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
sure what's on there.
no, I would, the ones in the middle.
The ones in the middle of the road, no, that's about it.
Yeah.
In Larchmont, they have, there's, God, where is that? After you pass like Rio Bravo going towards Mamaroneck, there's a traffic light where you can turn left to the train and there's a building. And there's signs hanging with the light that say like, yield to pedestrians or something like that.
All but the
Yield
wire.
to pedestrians
Yeah, on the
would be
wire.
Perfect, something.
So,
like that.
well, I mean, if it's a non-regulatory sign, which doesn't require any sort of border pool, let us know and we'll see, we'll look at the manual for traffic control devices and.
Cause I don't think the no turn on red
I
really
can,
solves
I
the
can take
problem.
a picture of it. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's on Palmer,
I
which
know
is a
it's-
county road, so they must have got something. to have
Yeah,
on there.
Hey, hey,
Richard.
Dan,
Yeah,
do you think that we
Well,
would? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Richard has.
I just wanted to go back to what Shannon was saying, that, like she said, there are three causes of problems, you know, it could be design, it could be human. Making any vehicle being driven to the left or to the right, you get a different situation. To the right, you have the entire windscreen open and available, everything's visible. Going to the left, first thing you see is the post.
Mhm.
Anybody in the crosswalk going from the eastern side of Fenimore Road, crossing the post road, not the western side, cars making a left,
The side closest to the street, right?
right? They're gonna be invisible to the cars unless you do something to change the sequence for the
Mhm.
pedestrians entering that crosswalk and the car making that left turn.
So,
That's what.
so sequence, you mean the sequence of the light?
Yeah, because
So
New York
that-
City Department of Transportation looked at all the pedestrians that were getting hit by vehicles, and they had a show on it on PBS.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly, one earnest young woman said, I never saw the person in the crosswalk. I got a green light to go, started driving forward, making my left turn, and the next thing I knew, I was on top of a pedestrian. She never saw the pedestrian. Pedestrian was invisible behind her post the whole time. One of the solutions New York City came up with, they changed the sequencing to give the pedestrian a running start or delayed, start,
So that, well, that's called an advanced pedestrian.
whatever it's called.
So, but I think, as far as the sequence, that is the state's traffic light.
It's
so-
all pedestrians getting hit by.
I know,
We got a contact.
So do we call it,
No, we have, I'm just saying, we'd have to,
We have,
we'd have to elevate that to the state.
But I thought there was paperwork that was, my understanding was that there was paperwork that was supposed to be filed. It was not filed correctly several years ago. Then we're supposed to refile it
Yeah,
again.
we-
Jerry told me it was being refiled again. And that it was moving forward. You know, we had a young man that was struck there a couple months ago.
And then recently there's been some other.
And now we haven't taken action. And this committee really thought this was moving forward.
Well, I mean, I cannot, I can't tell the state to move faster.
whatever has happened in the past.
Well,
Yeah,
I can,
No,
as a citizen, I can.
I can't, okay, no, I can't force that to go fast.
Right, no, but you can
Yeah, I mean,
complain, and if this commission writes a letter to, Latimer
Yeah.
or
We
whoever.
just have to make it work.
Yeah,
I-
I understand, I'm just,
Are these things,
I'm trying to
Yes.
talk to one person. at a
sorry,
time.
go ahead.
You actually, this is like a big family, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Well,
no one completely gets the floor.
I know,
There's
but-
a certain amount of over.
But again, let's just follow up with the state.
Yeah, all right, so let's.
Brian,
Can I,
Sure.
they don't have us on video.
are some of these?
They can't see us.
Well,
Oh, they want to see, Bernie wants to see my face. Yeah, it is Bernie.
Some of these things that have to do with the state and the county, can I put them on my Safe Routes to School agenda because the state county?
Well, you actually have state, well, yeah,
Right, they come to my meeting, so
Yeah.
can I bring it up to them?
I think so.
Cause I can do that.
Yeah,
with
we have a much
with some of
better
these things.
attendance. I mean,
Right.
I said that, I was just thinking about the thing with, I said, if you're looking for any sort of state legislation, they're there. Mayor's office is there, and Lewis's office.
Well,
is
and I mean, because the other thing is the crosswalks on Palmer Avenue. That nobody got back to me about. All of them, none of them were painted, you can't see any.
How do we blanket this and capture everything?
I know they're waiting for the county. but
Yeah,
How
and-
long are we gonna wait? I
Well,
don't
we-
think they've been painted.
The
in
county
2
agreed,
years.
the county said they were gonna do it, so.
No, but I'm just saying, as we go like street by street and decide we need like a stop sign or a crosswalk.
No,
how
but
do
these
we-
are crosswalks that are already there. and
Where,
just haven't
sorry,
been-
where?
or
where,
that
you know,
Every crosswalk on Palmer.
Or
Avenue.
if there's, but my question is, didn't get, my thought process, I should say, is not if we need it or if it needs to be repainted. How do we capture all that information data wise to kind of make like a a schedule or a blanket way that we're going around to these areas, ensuring that they're upkept, or if there's a need or a rising need for something like
I
that.
we could capture everything in GIS and have something like that, but
Well, the
that,
village is good about painting their crosswalks.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't paint all the crosswalks.
yeah,
in the
and
village.
we've been having a bit of a fight with the county because at one point, the county who'd been repaying their crosswalks for time immemorial said, it's your responsibility in the village. We said,
Alright.
that's
So-
news to us.
So on the, just going back to the, I want to stay on track here. So, Fenimore and Delancey it's a state,
Yeah, we'd have to put a request into them.
So there, I don't know, I believe this body has already made a motion to the Board of Trustees on this.
But if it's on Fenimore that you want signage. it's
I
not.
want I want to always stop, and I believe
then
that this
that's
board,
the
can we look at the?
I thought the village reached out to, is it the state to change requested that the traffic signal be changed to, did they reach out? to say that
I recall, I think,
Recently,
I think the most recent resolution I recall was the one about, Fenimore and Boston Post Road. I can't recall the thing with Delancey. Delancey's a little bit more deal with having an all-way phase.
Right.
Because, the distance across the Oriental leg is significant. And the average person, so an average healthy person walks at a rate of about 4 feet per second. For senior citizens and children, that's 3 feet per second. So I think that's something like 80 feet wide. So to have an all-way phase for that, that you're talking, you might need to have 20-30 seconds of an all-way stop.
slow traffic.
It's gonna have an impact. They have to really look at
But
that.
that's also two different traffic lights, the one at Oriental.
Yeah,
and one at
it-
I
Palm.
just,
Yeah, it's a little interesting.
well, Lonnie, I think I'd like to have a conversation with you about this after, okay? But we need to move on,
That's fine.
because I mean, I think we heard from a lot of people that this was,
No, it's
Or-
important to figure out what is the holdup.
yeah, okay, let's.
We'll talk about
talk.
this in union.
Okay,
So,
so,
same
good news on the Old Boston Road Oriana sidewalk project. Dan, this is part of the budget, right? It's
Well,
happening.
I think we put it in for next year to start the project. That's design. I mean, but it's gonna be it's gonna have to be a drainage and sidewalk
Abby
project.
should
So
be happy.
it's about a $1.5 million
Should be.
project.
Is Abby gonna be happy
Uh,
with it? Well, that's
right.
good. All right. So, and I reached out to one of our neighbors when she asked a question about this, and I mistakenly said I put an acronym in the wrong acronym in, and then Robert corrected me.
Oh, the old white.
Yeah, so Robert corrected me, but maybe I'll reach out to Abby again just to make sure. Okay, so the Waverly Avenue Bridge impact on MA, we're on number 4 in old business. And we need to make up some time. Waverly Avenue Bridge impact in MAS. I had reached out to, as I said, to Ms. Dreama. I didn't hear anything back from her. But I did throw.
She communicates with my husband regularly, so she just asked him.
And then
But-
you and your husband and I didn't connect
I
yet,
know.
so do you have any input? Dan has a little bit,
I mean, we had a meeting on this.
Yes,
Washington Neighborhood Association was actively involved
Yes.
in the detail plan.
Right, but I think nobody talked to the school apparently.
Okay, so
I'm just telling you.
I understand.
I'm not mad at you.
But, okay, remember a couple of years ago when the state, the Thruway Authority was doing all the work on the overpass on Old White Plains Road?
Yes,
And everyone who lived north of that had to figure out a way to, guess what? They figured out a way to to
Yes.
get to
Yeah.
school.
yes.
I understand it's an inconvenience. People are automatically going to the worst suggestion.
no, I don't think that's, I think a bigger part of the concern is for the children and parents that are walking.
So there's the Center Avenue pedestrian bridge. And they
No,
can
no,
always,
not there, around this, when you're at the school, because there's gonna be so many more cars coming from different directions.
But if
From
they're,
what I
if,
understood.
if they're, and I'm
The
agreeing
traffic is
with,
heavier.
but if they're not walking
Well,
down,
traffic's gonna be different.
if they're
Yeah.
not walking down Mamaroneck Avenue School, they have right now two alternatives if they're coming from the other end, from Fenimore. They can cross over the Center Bridge, and Bug Walker Park is a very wide open space for them to walk. They can walk down Grand
Wait,
Street,
but that's not the issue.
but
To save time,
yeah.
I know when Ann Good came, she was most concerned that. Cause right now, a lot of the cars come from the back of the school. They don't come on the Mamaroneck Avenue, coming from like this way. So when you get to, I always forget the names of the streets.
That's it.
Elliot,
Elliott or
Elliot,
Gertrude? Which one goes first?
Elliot, Gertrude goes out, Elliot comes in, Ralph
So
goes
when you
across the back.
get to Elliott,
Coming in.
even now, there's usually a long line of cars to turn left and the street's backed up and you can't turn and there's no,
what is it people want us to
they
do?
want to cross crossing guard there.
that would make sense as.
Crossing guard where?
Where?
Elliot
On
and
Elliott
Mamaroneck.
and Mamaroneck Avenue.
Oh, Elliot. Mamaroneck.
Okay, put that request into the police chief. I mean, that's,
A reason
That's
for
a
that,
doable
I
situation.
can
But
tell,
that's why I said to have Ryan ask the principal to speak to the police department.
And Sadrina, this Sadrina does know me, and I went fishing and she didn't,
I mean,
not interested. So I'll just
on
send it on my
Mamaroneck
personal
Avenue,
email.
a lot of cars are coming up Mamaroneck Avenue, making the left turn onto Elliot,
Do you want me to
and
email her? from
going
St.
around the
Bruce's
back of the school.
and
Remember
tell her-
what I said about
Talk-
going
right,
down
talk-
Fenimore,
Yeah.
making the left turn onto the post road? It's the same type of problem. Regularly,
I'll
you
email her.
see
I'm gonna email her.
pedestrians going across the crosswalk, being challenged by cars making a left turn that aren't seen.
And his car, darling, almost every day.
I understand what Dan is trying to say, because the town has now implemented, there's a huge plan set in place to divert traffic. I mean, past Griffin.
Yeah.
Up Fenimore, derailing them to come down Mamaroneck Avenue, to really put this huge bubble around the whole entire area to push it. But it's the only option
Yeah.
because it's the cut through. But I think that one conversation that we had during one of our Washingtonville neighborhood associations, and Jerry and I had gone back and forth a few times, and we had discussed it during our last meeting, was the possibility of putting "Don't block the boxes" at the
Yes.
corner of Mamaroneck Avenue, Old White Plains Road, possibly Elliott and Gertrude, so the stop of traffic isn't
Yeah,
That was our
stagnated.
last meeting, I told him it was a
Yeah.
county road, we can't paint on a county road.
Yeah. so,
Approval.
and the other
Except that they
thing,
tell us to.
Yes.
yeah,
And
Yes.
they assume that we're gonna paint their
crosswalk.
crosswalks.
Mhm.
So the other part about this,
Keep going.
when it comes to a traffic detour. I mean, like I said, I think people are automatically going to this doom and gloom
Right.
scenario,
The fine
which
line.
I can guarantee you is not gonna happen. But
Well, municipalities in anticipation don't usually go in hand, let's be honest, right?
no,
So
but no,
I think you're.
but every time I've seen what I would think would be a big issue, people figure it out.
Right, no, I think it's.
And if we
Yeah.
need to make a change, we'll make a change.
And that's what
Ryan, I
the
don't know
town
if it's-
promised. The town promised that.
Yeah.
That they will be watching and they will be in coordination with the chief. And any issue that a resident has, they will address.
We will bust
As it
their
goes
hole
through.
every day if
Yes.
there's a problem.
So I was told that there is a plan in place, and as soon as it closes, they're going to keep a close eye on things.
Okay,
And where they see needed, they'll make adjustments.
so it's gonna be mine. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way.
And they're supposed to give the village 48 hours notice
Yeah, I-
before they
I
close
listen-
the bridge.
I don't know of any traffic detour plan that has ever caused such disruption in someone's life that they abandoned it while.
The agenda? Yeah. All right, can we move on to 518 Carroll? Dan said that it needs to be reviewed by,
Yeah, because the original request came from FD. to restrict the parking, so.
They said no. I think
Oh, is this the one where
Yes,
yes,
the
Mr. Casper,
the
yeah, he
village
wanted to,
resident came back and said,
yeah.
Yes.
are you sure?
He was at our last,
He went to the.
He was at our
Board of
last
Trustees.
meeting.
Right,
Yes.
so I think, okay, so
The
we're,
follow-up has been like,
Yeah,
the
fire chief,
fire chief just said, no,
okay,
Exactly, yeah.
it's not.
and the
fire
fire
chief
chief
has
like
spoken.
lives
Yes,
literally.
yeah, it was
three
that, it
houses
was
around
the
the
fire
corner,
chief, it was
and-
EMS, there was an incident involved and they couldn't get into the street, and that's how.
We'd say no too. He had a long list of
In
requests.
terms of the parking spaces being moved from the other side to the
Okay.
next,
Yes.
then,
Correct.
yeah.
has
that was-
anyone followed up with him?
So who
I
needs
will.
to follow up with them? Is it Matt Carmody? Is it
Do you wanna,
fire
I can do
department?
it.
okay.
I can do it.
alright, Thank you, so
Yeah.
Lonnie's gonna follow up with that.
The question, I mean, the question is, who will he actually leave? Like, if the fire chief says, we're not gonna do this.
Unelected official.
That's what I said. I'll do it.
We're good. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Nolan Avenue, this has been on the list for a long time. That's why it's on old business. You know, the families have very similar to the Union Avenue. I know there's not no accidents up there, but it's a bit of you know, speedway. Are there any traffic calming measures that?
You know, but this is like exclusively a neighborhood where anyone who's driving in it lives there.
Correct.
Tina lives there.
Yeah, I mean, no one,
And it's the
You-
people that live there that are speeding, not people that are just going to turn around or to
Right.
Yeah.
the road the wrong way.
So what should we do? Is there anything that we can do with this?
I don't know, but lately, there have been a lot more cars parking on the hill where you're allowed to park, but you can't, I can't believe there's parking allowed there. You know what I'm talking about. There's like this much room between the parked car and the WL line, like no joke.
so if that, I mean, that's a good thing to look
Which
at.
is dangerous because it turns like this and starts to go down. So if there's cars parked here, I'm driving over the WL line and I can't see if somebody's.
Yeah, I
coming
mean,
up the hill.
like I said, it's good to make drivers uncomfortable, but not so uncomfortable they can't see what's coming.
Correct.
Right, you're
So what
forcing.
can
But I don't know why.
Has that-
Lately,
has that-
every day, there's a
Has
lot.
that
of
slowed
cars.
anybody down? Like, is it a good thing that?
Right.
I don't think people are
That's good.
speeding up the hill. I think the people that. I think the people that live straight go faster because they're going straight.
They're not cutting up to Raleigh, they're going
The,
straight down.
the
into
original
line.
problem, was
It's the
kids
wider
kids- no,
section.
Kids playing at the top of the hill.
At Crown Court,
But they
at Crown
That's
Court.
not an issue.
Kids playing in the street.
Or never
People don't
was?
play in the street, I
They don't
know,
go
but
over.
there's
Crown Court.
the side roads,
Crown
not.
Court, yeah.
Is there any traffic calming
It is
measure that
so-
would be?
But do you teach your kids not to play in the street?
And when you come up the hill, the first
Like,
street
isn't
on
that
your
like the
right,
first thing you teach them?
Exactly.
the first street on your right is Crown Court.
Correct.
And it really is like a blind curve, so if you're turning right onto Crown Court, if you're going too fast, you're gonna hit somebody.
How many
And there is somebody has a basketball hoop in front of their house there, and they do play basketball, so
That's a no-no. You can't have a basketball hoop in the street.
everybody does that.
I know, but it's, there's
So-
a,
That's why they live in.
Tina-
I mean, it's a dead end, like,
So I think that one of the things we were waiting for was that. My memory is that we were gonna ask Matt Carmody
That's
to
right.
check it out, and we've not heard.
I'll follow.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the other thing I was gonna say is, when we started talking about this, I think, probably like December. There,
Always before that.
yeah,
January.
The other thing is when
so when we started talking about this in December, soon after I joined. There was a real hesitation to talk about speed bumps. Now, since then, without us doing anything, we've installed speed humps on, Old Hospital
Old
Road.
Post Road, Branch Street.
Yeah,
and so
now that we're doing it,
the one on Grand Street is in front of my mother-in-law's house, so I'm very familiar with it. I had never seen the ones on Old Post Road, so I went down that way after the last meeting. And those are incredible.
Yes.
Those are the kinds of speed
Well,
bumps
they're pumps.
yeah.
that
Speed
They're not,
should
they're
be
not speed bumps, they're speed bumps.
speed bumps are completely useless.
What I am understanding is that they're temporary because they're going to repave our streets in the spring.
Okay,
And we're getting sewers, stormwater
So-
drains and sewers, and then permanent humps
the speed,
will go in.
yeah, I mean,
Can-
the ones on Old Post Road, I think would be helpful around the
So
village,
there's,
but I don't know if it
there's,
would work
there's one thing
there.
I want everyone to be cognizant of, so three things we've had Matt work on. The Palmer Avenue crosswalk, Rockland Avenue traffic study, and the I-95 Mamaroneck Avenue item. That's cost us $21,000. So.
Is that a lot or? a
I
little?
think that's a great deal.
A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people
that's-
use
that's
it
real-
for
I mean,
instance.
That's a real question. Is that a lot of money or a little?
Well, I'm just saying, you can't, we can't ask, if we ask them to do 50 different projects,
I mean, I think
it's.
the one on.
I
I
think-
can actually.
Not that-
tell you the question.
Not that things
it would-
aren't important, but the one on Knollwood is not
But I-
affecting a majority of the village.
I sort of be in the position of asking Matt to look at every last item.
But
Would it be better?
could Gino look at that?
I didn't know that that had any-
You really, traffic engineering is a discipline within its own.
You just-
Is there like a way like
More
that
than
we could
regular
search? Is there some sort of link that we could look on that maybe found like a similar terrain hill that like a residential
Well,
community
I have
use?
a question.
Yes.
Would it be cost effective for the village to hire a traffic consultant? Full time? Considering the cost of retaining.
Great
the
question,
cost-
great question, Rob.
The problem, I think it's not,
With all of the traffic.
well, it's not
issues
just
that we-
Matt, I mean,
If it's $21,000 to have Matt look at 3 intersections.
Imagine what that was for a yearly salary.
Yeah, why don't we just annualize that salary? and
Well,
have some-
it's not just Matt, he has a team of people. Because, he has someone who specializes in, traffic signals.
But I think 21,000 is a big deal. I guess I don't have that kind of money personally, but I don't look at that as.
I'm just trying to say that you say, have Matt look at this, have Matt look at that, have Matt look at this other.
Okay, but.
I'm just saying that.
But
I-
$5,000 to look at something where you have 10 or 20 houses impacted, I don't know if that's so much money.
So
Yeah, but
how about-
how many things do we want him to look at?
can I interject?
Yes.
Considering that we are in the last quarter of the year, let's use this one as a quarter for Matt Carmody to come in, speak to the group, gather ourselves with the notes that we have from, that we've been accumulating and figure out which ones like Knollwood Avenue, all of those.
Which ones have teeth? Which ones have teeth that are worth?
Yeah.
pursuing?
Exactly.
We have to prioritize.
Prioritize.
And just, I wanted, before Rob talks, I want, we're over time and we have 4 more things to get through and I'm doing a hard stop. Irrespective of when we get through everything, I'm very sorry. We have 10 minutes, Rob.
My recommendation some time ago was to give out spreadsheets to Matt Carmody and rather have him go out and look, just have him read, maybe spend a couple hours reading this. And just based on what information we provided here, because we provide very good, have him, say, okay, this I can do, or this is not for me. I don't know why we don't just give him
Well,
the
defend
spreadsheet.
Dan, it's gonna be billable hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
how
understand.
fool does
Available hours just to
I'm
read
trying to
it.
get to,
I have to have him go out.
Robert, what I'm trying to get to is, you
Yes.
have to prioritize what
Trust
we're
me, I'm used
asking,
to it.
the projects that you're.
Figure out what you
Yeah, I
can
like
do,
that.
what's
But-
worthwhile.
Does the commission have priorities or not?
Yeah, and so wait a second, Dan asked a very important question. Does the commission have priorities? We have a
Yes.
60-page packet that we have winnowed down to 20. The committee went through and coded out individually what they thought our priorities were. I then took those, I created, I scored them, I created an index, and so we have our priorities. And Knollwood is a 4.0 out of 5. So it ranked up high, not because we're experts. There was just enough information coming from the community, and they kept coming back and saying, hey, people are speeding. It's complicated. It's one of those roads. So that's all.
And I'll take 30 seconds. I'm not advocating for Matt Carmody or anything. Knollwood's been on our list for months because the last time we talked about it, Matt Carmody didn't look at
Okay.
Nothing's happened.
Well,
And since then, we have and on a different subject, really speed humps. We don't know how that happened. We don't know what kind of studies, we don't know whether map was involved in this. Is that a viable thing for the village to think about in other
So-
situations?
we have talked about proper placement of speed humps.
Mhm.
And the speed humps that were installed on Old Post Road were installed with that type of guidance. So.
Okay.
yeah.
So on Brixmore, Lilani, did we?
Yes, it's that's the last email that was sent on.
So that's done. They
It's
put a
done,
stop
but
sign.
I will go by
Okay.
because of the email before I went
I
to.
just comment that. So there were two things with Bridgemont. One, the Bridgemont people put the stop signs by the Chipotle exit, which is fine. But we also asked for the signs on the sidewalk to alert pedestrians walking across. Still to be aware of cars exiting the shopping.
Yeah,
center.
yeah, we're gonna follow, we're gonna follow.
And I think Officer Rocco pointed out that there's another, mentioned another location where they have that. Where you have an exit from a mall or a shopping area and you have signs on the street alerting pedestrians about
Okay.
exiting cars. You
Right,
mentioned
thank you.
something like that.
And
Yeah, it's just a matter of, putting,
Yeah.
finding the right side of the manual.
The front, yes, MTCU, right, correct?
MUTC.
There you go.
all right, so.
James
Dan,
loves
you
me. I
can check
mess that
it
up
out.
every time.
So we're.
New York
almost-
State software.
We're almost there. Thanks, Alani, for the update. And then the FASNY at New Street, Dan, we have bids out now,
This is for the sidewalks, right?
the sidewalks,
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah, so we have a bid out now, coming back October 19th.
At New Street and Underhill.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, that's good. Walters, you mentioned something about the Palmer Avenue crosswalk already?
Yeah, that's this week. So we had to submit, more for the county to review our traffic study. We had to submit a highway work permit to them. So I just did that yesterday.
So that will be a crosswalk with flashing
Oh, I
lights
didn't
or,
know it
or
was
or
moving
enhanced,
Yeah.
be an enhanced crosswalk.
If the county says, sure.
All right, so I think, do we,
Can I have one last thing? The parking space on New Street, Laura? The
Yes.
parking space on New, across that we've been asking for almost 2 years.
it's the corner of
on
New
the
Street
corner.
and Allway Plains Road. It was put
Chris
through
said
on
that
in
it'll show.
October of last year. And I believe you were here during that session and you had done Google Earth and you could see that there's a car parks right
there.
on the corner, which forces you to move on time traffic,
I-
pull around it
I'll
over.
make sure it went to the board. If not,
We've been asking for that for a while.
So.
Thank you, Dan.
The Royal Place and Old Post Road, that's also part of the 2023 paving contractor.
So, just, so the word place, so the board approved the crosswalks?
it doesn't require board.
So, but it's gonna get done, the cross,
Yeah.
because Michael has asked for the crosswalks there.
Yeah.
And the other thing was trimming the hedges for the house. If you go by there, it's.
I will,
it's really- it's a
I'll
big
follow the
problem.
building. It's between everything that we've been dealing with.
Okay,
With the New Street, one item that was missing were the stop signs on Monsignor Goodwin. We changed the time.
Whether they need a
The
study.
timing was changed.
The timing was
Yeah,
changed,
that was approved.
but the stop
The
sign.
stop sign was.
Okay,
Question
I'll follow up with.
Okay.
both of those.
The issue with the stop sign was that it was believed that they needed a study before they could, but that's.
we need that stop sign back.
I think that was a misunderstanding.
That was a
So, you should clarify. that.
Carmody said we need a study done, but the track, the,
That was
Stop.
for Boston
That
Post
was
Road and
for-
Taylor Lane,
Yeah,
and I think it got crossed over
Well,
into New
both,
Street.
both Taylor's Lane at Boston Post Road and, by FAS School.
and so that goes,
Stop sign,
say it again? The tail.
What's
tail-
that street? Do you have New Street and what's that street?
Ralph
No,
Avenue's behind.
no,
it.
begins
No.
with a D.
It's-
Begins with a D.
What, Dermot?
Dermot?
The private, the paper road off Ralph, behind the school?
Off of Ralph, that's Dermot, but it's Monsignor Goodwine,
Monsignor Goodwin
of course,
Boulevard.
yeah,
Underhill, which is AK Underhill.
right.
Underhill, yes.
Right.
Underhill.
Okay,
The Dave's in there, the Dave's in there, all right.
It has a strong
So.
diesel.
That happens to me all the time.
That stop sign.
That's where we are.
Exactly.
Claiming that they needed a study before they could put their stop sign. in.
So that's kibosh, we don't need a study and the stop signs could go with.
Yeah, as long as it's put by the board, yeah,
I don't know where it went,
okay,
so that's the worry, is that there's
I'll check.
a church and a school and no stop sign.
And Robert, the speed limit signs are in the harbor. But why are
It's
they
at,
so
it's right at
small?
the entrance. It's right at the entrance. 15 minutes per hour, right at the
But why
entrance to
are
the
the
harbor.
signs so, did you see them?
Huge, huge.
I mean,
sign.
Huge signs.
All right.
We got them.
Last item, so, Taylor's Lane, Boston Post Road crosswalk. Dan, you're saying that state DOT, we're
They're right away.
saying it's not, it's going across Taylor's Lane.
No, it's still there right away.
Yellow because
But we can't paint
Even
across
if it's
Taylor's
on
Lane.
Taylor's
Can you paint your neighbor's house?
Yellow because it's.
I mean-
Suggestion.
State has,
I don't know, I
the
mean,
state has the right of way.
They go to Florida.
Do you own your neighbor's house?
No, but okay. All right, so we can't touch it. All
But the state is repaving
right,
Post Road in 2026.
all right, so we can go back.
And actually, the question I
but
asked
today.
Shannon, when she was here, she still knew anyone at DOT, Region 8. which
Mike,
is-
Mike did too much research.
Okay, last two items, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from July, 19 meeting?
Yes.
Are there any, changes? David?
What changes?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the July 19th minutes as is. Did you ask me on this?
And there's a second.
I just have something to say.
Someone has a second.
Is there a second?
Then my minutes.
I second.
Okay, Laura, second.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is September
14th.
14th.
Yes, I just have a quick question and,
On the minutes?
no, give thanks.
Okay.
It's something that I had to bring up, just with how we've just been doing things. And I have to bring it back up on the board level in terms of all, committee heads, so it technically will apply to you, Ryan, is meeting with all the other committee heads, having an all committee head meeting, maybe quarterly. And I just wanted to see if the traffic committee was okay with doing that and being a part of that.
Right, Ryan can go to the meeting.
Well, you know, unless it changes.
We have no
Ryan is
objection
looking
to
forward
it.
to it.
I mean, she said unless something changes.
Oh, and then here's another thing. After November and when things start to get reappointed, I have to choose between traffic and flood. And that's,
Traffic, you're gonna stay with traffic, you're gonna stay with.
it's gonna be either or. I haven't made a full decision yet, but I cannot handle traffic and flood together because they each have its own unique
Style.
style, but no,
A lot
but
of work.
it's a lot of work.
You have to decide
And,
that.
and I have to decide that, but whatever my choice is, Manny would be my replacement.
You've done really good. I mean, it takes,
So,
there's a learning curve here, but like what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
thank
really
you.
good.
So, yeah, it's been great.
Thank
The
you.
follow-up, the phone calls, the text messages, I mean, you're
Well,
delighted about it.
Let's get this, I'm not getting paid for this.
So,
But I'm just letting you know
So,
that is what it's coming.
so
We'll never
keep us
forget.
posted. One more thing to vote on. We have to vote on the September 14th minutes. Are there any
I've read
changes? Everyone's read them? Changes?
Yes.
No changes.
All right,
We've got those.
I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes as
You
is.
gotta do that, I got one thing before you adjourn,
Okay,
very important.
is there a second on
I
this?
second.
Laura seconds the approval of the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, the board accepts the minutes as is.
I have one important announcement to the traffic commission. And this is a milestone way beyond me. Dan is gonna remember, Shannon will remember. I'm third generation to replace as the fire department's liaison. I'm staying with you. Rod Brindolan sat on this committee for over in excess of 35 straight years.
Wow.
He turns 100 years old
Wow.
on October 22nd, Sunday. I wanted to make that known
Does he have a
because
plan?
this is his home. The fire department's gonna go visit him at his home with the fire trucks, but I wanted to make it note because this is his home. He sat here for 35 years, went through multiple boards, multiple mayors, multiple chair parties, multiple commissions.
I wonder if we can send him something on for the board.
Or a
Can you-
proclamation.
Yes,
Yep.
can you send me that?
Yeah, check,
Add
check.
that onto the proclamation you already gave me, that's amazing.
100 years old, he's 100 years old, the 22nd Sunday, and please check with Chief Barney. Coordinating fire departments to all.
Well,
No, I always
that's
have
incredible. Thank you for
I
the
always have
service. I would like to make
No.
a motion. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
Third.
All those in favor? Thank you, everyone.
I
We did
would
it
say
in
And
1
I'm
hour
gonna
and
should
45
For you,
minutes.
that you're gonna be the longest
Yeah, but
standing
it-
person on this traffic commission.
Yeah, but that's-
That is 2 hours.
Everybody's gonna ask me to bring it.
2 hours.
Yeah, well, bring it before.
We started on
we
time at
nominate it.
7.
Write it. so
I
we have it
started on
done.
time. Let's land it next. I'm kidding. You did a great job.
You guys are tough.
You were under pressure
Right.
today.
Okay.